I'm in the field, 2-minute drill, highlight reel, let's review, what's the deal, okay? Watching footage going out of control, buckle up, we got an hour to go, so let's go, that's straight heat. Ain't no chillin' around here, back that back, Nat chance, how we feelin' around here? Got my whole squad in the building around here. If my name ain't on it, then I really don't care. Come on. 3-point stance, we advance. Ball in my hands, I don't take no chance. Touchdown dance, that's my jam. No hot takes, this is nothing but rants.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Where's he at?
You think he's coming back down?
I don't know, dude. Should we just go and do the intro?
Yeah, I guess we should.
All right.
We'll handle the business tonight.
You got it.
All right, well, welcome in, everybody. We're just kidding. Brooks will eventually be down here. He is starting another tour, off-season tour, one that he's done for quite a while, where he's making the rounds for the local high school, checking out the local talent, all the good stuff in the state of Georgia, sometimes the state of Alabama as well. So he'll be on his way back. I think he's on his way back right now, so he will be here momentarily. But for now, it's just me and Christian, and we're going to get this show kicked off. Some very pressing news happened today in college football where a college quarterback might be suspended for the next season due to gambling. We'll touch on that here in a little bit. The NFL draft was this past weekend. We're going to recap some of our thoughts on that, some of the big headlines from the draft. We're going to discuss those topics there. There's a player up in Knoxville that there's some touchy waters there, some very murky waters at the moment as to what his future with the Tennessee Volunteers might look like, if there even is a future with him as one of their players this season. We're also going to continue with some, hey, this guy was a first round this year. Will his replacement at the college level be a first-round draft pick when it's his time to enter the draft? So a lot of good topics. Let's get right into it, though. You wanted to start the show off with some rather sad news for whatever reason, you know?
It's sadness. I mean, it is sad
It's
news.
doom and gloom. That's what I would say.
Look, I've been warning people about this time of year a lot, and for as much as we've been dreading the words, off season, and for how everyone, there's some people that say there is no off season. We are in the off season. There's no denying that. The numbers show that. Everything shows that. But this part of the season in particular is what I call the awful season, because the off season, the way it goes for me is when college football ends, you at least go, all right, you know what? I've got the NFL playoffs to look forward to. I've got the Super Bowl. This will hold me over for the next month or so. And then the Super Bowl ends, and it's, all right, well, you know what? I've got the Combine to look forward to. Some things happen with NFL free agency. That'll hold me over. The Combine happens, and you go, all right, I've got the NFL draft to look forward to. Mock drafts happen. Once the NFL draft happens, you're kind of in this abyss of football for the next 60 to 90 days until SEC Media Days come until that happens. So I've been warning people about that. I've been saying, hey, after spring comes and goes, it's a great time now. Enjoy it while it lasts, because once we get there, it's going to be a long, tenuous stretch. We have entered that stretch. We have entered what I call the awful season. That's not to say we're going to decline our output at all. We're still giving you 3 shows a week, sometimes 4, but it is going to be that part of the year where there might not necessarily be as much to talk about. We might have some fluff for you. So welcome to the awful season.
Yeah, really the countdown now is how many days until SEC Media Days or how many days until the Big Ten Media Days, because that's really all there is to look forward to at the moment, because that's like the next it's like scratch that you get for football, where coaches are at the podium discussing the upcoming season. You get to talk to some of the players on each roster and all that good stuff. But from now until about July, it is quite the desert. Now, we obviously have things going on in other sports. If you're a baseball fan, if you're a basketball fan, the hockey playoffs are going on right now. This chase for the Stanley Cup, all those good things are happening. But as far as football goes, unless you're into the USFL or whatever it's called now, I have no idea what it's called at the moment, but unless you're diving into that and you're really locked in with one of those teams, it's a barren wasteland at the moment, and
Yeah.
you're just trying to wait until the next season arrives.
But I will say I appreciate it though, because
The
when
UFL, that's what it's called.
Oh yes, when you do have that prolonged absence of football, and you do grow fonder, because by the time you get to like early July, you are ready for it. There are some parts in the season, especially for us, where it's like, man, just get me to the bye week, get me to there. So it makes it grow stronger. I think he's walking down now.
Looky here.
Oh, just
right
in
on time. We're
Right-
holding off on the important topics just for you.
Just knocked out the intro. Welcome in, sir. How was your trip? Where'd you go?
I've been itching to talk gambling, boys. I don't know about y'all.
Oh, good.
I've been itching. I got a mouthful of food, but I am itching to talk gambling. How are y'all?
Doing
doing
good.
good.
Doing good. Yeah, that was we purposely waited on that topic, even though it's easily
Y'all
the
buried the lead, huh?
most, yeah,
yeah.
it's easily the most pressing issue nowadays. So
You know what is ultimately distracting for someone who just showed up back in the studio? How busy your side of the desk is and how bland your side of the desk is.
I don't have knickknacks. Like, whoa.
Patty Whack, give a
Power
dog a bone.
Ranger?
yeah, dude, I found it in my closet. I was like, this is coming back with me.
I
How
don't
we
have.
doing tonight, boys?
Good,
We're
good.
good.
I'm going to let you know, I haven't looked at the show notes at all.
Okay.
That's all right.
I have no idea what's going on.
We'll guide you
Well,
through
here.
it.
I plan to be nothing but an assist man tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, how about I throw you a lob? I'll be the
Ooh!
assist man here.
Yeah, there.
You want to talk gambling? Let's talk about it. Brendadn Sorsby, a suspension looming for him.
Brendadn situation going on here.
It's Brendadn.
It's
Yeah, there's a-
Brendadn.
there's a
Brendadn
D in this
Sorsby.
one.
It rolls, Brennan. You know what I mean?
There's a D in there.
Yeah, man, this is bad.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Certainly not what you want to
I
hear.
got a phone call from a LSU football coach. You know, LSU heavily
yeah.
involved in the Sorsby sweepstakes. And boy, if he wasn't relieved, you know, he was like, "Oh my God, could you imagine?" He said, "Coach, I would unalive myself if I, you know, like that's how
Whoa.
bad it would be." He was joking, obviously.
right.
But yeah, I mean, could you imagine spending $5 million, 6.5? So I'm told, 6.5, and being like, "Oof, we ain't got a quarterback." By the way, Will Hammond, good backup, but tore his ACL in November.
By the way, if we like just to talk on the LSU side of things for a little bit here, they would have at least been kind of sitting a little prettier.
Yeah, that'd
than
be all right
Texas
because
Tech
they
is.
$900,000 on the Elon All-American.
And they got Hassan Longstreet at least
That too.
So they added him to the roster. So it's like,
God.
hey, if he isn't, if Sorsby isn't available, at least we got Longstreet. Whereas Texas Tech is now shifting to, well, I hope our quarterback that tore his ACL last year is ready to go. And they're saying he might be ready week 1. Like that's the timeline right now. Like he might be ready as soon as we get this thing rolling.
Yeah, I was told $6.5 million. So here, this is not to be joked about. Like in all seriousness, like there are jokes to be made here, most of which at Texas Tech's expense. But bro, this guy had a problem. Did y'all see, or has a problem?
yeah.
Did y'all
Yeah,
see some
I
of the
mean,
reporting?
I-
This dude was at MLB baseball games betting on balls and strikes.
Yeah.
Whoa, too much. You know what I mean?
No, I mean,
It's
there's
one thing to put a couple parlays together on a Saturday, hope you hit on a 9-legger that pays you out 200 to 1, but you out here, damn, it's a ball.
Yeah.
The next one's going to be a strike. That's a little bit much. That's
Yeah,
a little bit much.
Let me hedge my bet real quick. This one's a strike right here.
I
Throw it
saw
down the middle.
I saw one report they had placed something over somewhere over like 1,000 on one app.
Yeah, I saw north of like 2,500 different like plays.
Yeah.
Speaking of plays, there's a glitch here. There's a meta here. Baseball gave us this. He needs an interpreter.
Yeah,
That's all.
Shohei it.
I mean, dude, the Shohei stuff is so obviously like the best baseball player of all time. Like Pete Rose did times 1,000, and we're just gonna bury the show. Like we're gonna send an interpreter to jail for 2.5 years, allegedly. I don't want Shohei coming after me, but seems pretty cut and dry to me that the interpreter's taking a fall right there. What a friend.
For sure.
real-
Brendan needs a friend. Somebody needs to step up here so he can get his $5 million, because or 6.5, whatever it is. Right now, I don't think he's gonna be playing for the Red
And
Raiders.
we saw
this
how
year.
lenient this can be. I mean, John Mateer was
Yeah.
blatantly,
Yeah,
doing
but, you know, that's Venmo's with the buddies.
yeah, of course.
You know, we were joking.
yeah. When I pay my buddies for groceries,
No,
I
they
always
got
put
the
money line.
federal taps on this guy. He was out here with the legal names on the
Yeah.
legal apps betting on the games.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how much of that was college football? I don't know, but they have it on confirmation he was betting on that 2022 Indiana team, which, by the way, probably signs that we're not a good gambler. or maybe just early to the stock.
He was.
On betting on Hoosier football,
Or maybe
but
that was the perfect team to be gambling on at the moment.
no, he was betting on them to win. I think they were a 2-9 football team.
Is that confirmed that he was betting on them to win?
I saw it from NACOS, and I wasn't getting no-coast.
Well, I saw that he was.
I thought I saw from On3 today that it was confirmed he was gambling at least once on the Indiana team that he was a part of, which, if true, automatically gone.
Right.
No more eligibility.
But even then,
per NCAA's new rules this offseason.
But even then, if you're gambling on the team, that's not necessarily you're gambling on them to win.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't
No,
matter.
I'm still saying.
If you bet on them to win, lose, draw, bet your player props, none of the matter. If you are on the roster, you are done.
Right. I'm just saying that that's not it might not be an indictment on his ability or his gambling skills.
Oh yeah. You were going. Is he a good gambler?
Right.
Yeah. We don't know if he was. It was reported that he was betting on Indiana to win games in 2022 as a redshirt quarterback that was backing up. So
Yeah. I mean,
not great.
I think the next question that you have to address at this point is how much does this change things for Texas Tech? Because they will still have undoubtedly the most talented roster in the Big 12. They're probably still going to be favorites to win the Big 12.
Yeah.
But
I don't think this inhibits their ability to make a playoff. I think it inhibits their ability to win a playoff game.
Yeah.
That's why they went and spent this much money on a transfer quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't think they were good enough at the position last year. They felt like they were good enough everywhere else.
Yeah, in my eyes, I think this kind of puts them right back in the situation they were in last year, where they're certainly a good football team and they're good enough to make a college football playoff. But the ultimate ceiling of this team is limited back down to what you were last year, where probably not good enough to make a push in the playoff because quarterback play is a little limited now.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that I think worth mentioning about how you have undercut the program to a degree of the quarterback has been taken out. And yes, we agree they are still a more talented roster than everyone, but is the Big 12 any more open now at all?
You could pull an Indiana. Chat's already on it. Just file an injunction in your state. NCAA, come get me. And then if you win a national title, they'll just threaten to vacate wins. We just saw a safety. Now, it's a much higher profile football player than the quarterback, and it's gambling. It's not eligibility, but it is eligibility. The NCAA says you're ineligible. These are all legal gambles, by the way. He didn't break a law. He's not gambling with the mafia. It's a guy who is legally gambling of age. And if Texas Tech, who, by the way, shows no bones about kind of throwing their weight around, if they wanted to throw their weight around, they'd say, here's an injunction. I'm not abiding by your rules of ineligibilities, and we're going to go on and win a national title. And if we do, good luck coming and vacating it. That is literally different rules and different violations of rules. But this is literally what Indiana just did with their starting safety.
Correct.
The NCAA told them in August, that kid is not to play football this year. He is ineligible per our NCAA standards. And Indiana just threw an injunction into court and said, okay.
Do you think that maybe is a little conflicting, though, considering that right this very moment, and this came out today, too, from Charlie Baker, that it looks like the eligibility rule, the 5 to play 5 in college football, is probably going to pass, and it's going to be enacted this year, and it's not retroactive as well. Do you think that's a little conflicting, though? Like, we're going to put in this new eligibility rule, and teams are going to obey it, or at least we hope it will, but at the same time, we're going to have another program arguing against or arguing for eligibility for a certain player, even though it's not tied to that rule. And also, you just said it too, like they enacted new gambling rules too for college athletes.
I also think that you'd be hard-pressed to get an injunction in this because the punishment and the violation is so much more clear than, hey, I'm on my 5th year of eligibility, but I was injured in this year, or I was at a different school in this year. I should be awarded that.
He was on his 7th playing 6.
Yeah, so like stuff like that is like
so ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, yes, but the NCAA screwed themselves over with a bunch of legal things and a bunch of free eligibility seasons in 2020. This is way more cut and dry. It's strictly written in their policies. If you gamble, you are eliminated from having any eligibility. I don't know how he'd get an injunction for this. And the fact that we kind of got the story beforehand, even before any of the investigations came out of, hey, Brendadn Sorsby checking himself into rehab. He's having a gambling issue. That's why. Tells me that they're not even sure. They don't even have confidence that they could fight this. Yeah, this felt very much we're going to take the preliminary actions to show we're doing the right thing to make the punishment.
The internet's all over it. The internet said apparently there was an investigation going on, and Texas Tech was preemptively throwing this kid into rehab as a hopes of softening whatever blows coming from the NCAA. But my reading of that rule is hard cut, hard stop. You bet on a team that you're on, win, lose, or draw, you're done.
Yeah,
Cooked.
I mean, the exact language is student athletes who wager on their own games or in other sports at their own schools face permanent loss of collegiate eligibility in all sports. So he could have been betting on Texas Tech baseball too and still gotten suspended.
Wait, what?
That's the words.
It's any sport at your school.
On their own games or on other sports at their own schools.
So in other words, like him gambling on MLB games was really just more associated like this guy had a problem. But then when Indiana got tied into the mix, it was like, oh, that's
a eligibility problem.
Yeah, This is a whole nother ordeal.
Well, I don't want to throw on top of his problems, but he's also getting sued by Cincinnati for a buyout clause worth $1 million. They want $1 million back. And I read today, I want to say from I don't want to put words into Thamel's mouth or reporting into Thamel's tweets, but somebody was reporting today that if he's ineligible this year, Texas Tech could sue him for money this year.
I guess that makes sense.
Damn.
You damn right it makes sense. If I paid this guy, if he's got 2.5 of that 5 or 2.5 of that 6.5, whatever it is, if he's already gotten it, I'm getting my restitution. I'm getting my money back one way or the other.
Yeah, again, though, now you get in this conversation.
It's a wormhole.
Are the contracts binding? Are the contracts not binding? Because now schools want them to be binding because they're losing money on some of these players that they're investing a whole lot of money in. But then also they don't want them to be binding because, hey, buddy over there at Clemson, we want you at Ole Miss. I know you already signed the contract.
You think that contract of that edge rusher Chaz Coleman's binding up there in Tennessee?
It's a pretty smooth transition.
We'll get on to that. Before we do, I do have one more discussion I want, hypothetical. Does this affect anything from Texas Tech spending? This is
is this like a whoosh, don't do that?
No. This is is this hey, we got burned so bad by this that we don't want to.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They touched the stove. Maybe they don't touch it again? No.
I don't think
that's not how billionaires operate. You know?
Right.
We talked about it last offseason, wanting to root for this downfall here because of how brazen it is. I don't like when anybody has to confront an addiction, obviously, with my walk and things that I got going on in my life. But a part of me did smile today where I was like, it's a bad beat. It's a bad beat for Cody Campbell. It's a bad beat for a dude who spent a bunch of money on the one position they thought they were not quite good enough at last year.
But at the same time, you just talked about how it's maybe them touching the stove and be like, ouch, won't do that again. I think this is more like stubbing your pinky toe on the dresser in the dark. Oh, that hurts. That's really painful. I'm going to say a few cuss words, but it's not going to stop me from walking in my house in the dark. I'm just going to keep doing it.
I was going to continue the heat analogy. Normally when you grab something hot, for some reason your body's initial interaction is to grab on tighter. I think that's what we're about to do out there in Red Raider land. I think we're about to just throw more money at the problem.
Yeah.
Could be.
It was a one-and-done thing anyways. He was paying for 1 year.
Right.
So
yeah. And the crazier thing, too, is a year ago, this really wouldn't have been – it would have been a big story, but it wouldn't have been as big of a problem for Texas Tech because the spring transfer portal window would have been open.
Yeah.
And players would have been available. We'll just go find another guy.
I've seen jokes about, the Dylan Raiola thing. He could do the funny stuff. He can't.
No.
There's also another rule that says if you add anybody after the portal, your coach is basically subject to miss the entire season.
And get fined.
The only legitimate one that I saw was someone saying that they should suspend their coach for 6 games, and then it allows players to be like, oh, we can move on, we can go to different places, and then you go through that loophole. So maybe they tattletale on somebody else and the coach gets suspended. I don't know. But that'd be pretty diabolical.
I will say, and this is kind of a morbid thought on it, I am kind of surprised that it's taken this long for a situation to happen.
Oh, it hasn't? Iowa State had to kick off half their football team.
But of this magnitude where it's this blatant and this player had obviously college basketball had their thing. There's been obviously some other examples, but this is, I feel the first case of hey, this player was blatantly gambling on games in college football and is probably going to lose eligibility because I know Keyshawn Booty had issues.
maybe go back retroactively and start looking at some of these so-and-so got suspended for violation of team rules.
Yeah.
You never know is what I'm trying to say.
Right, absolutely.
Like there are so many different labelings of reasons why so-and-so's no longer with us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that violation of team rules covers them all.
Everything.
Violation of team rules covers everything from he punched a coach to he gambled on the game.
Exactly.
You know? So we can just label it under one of those.
It
probably has, is what I'm saying.
for sure. But like that could have been like very easily could have been a violation for team rules. Brendadn Sorsby along with probe. Now that would have ultimately come out. But
Yeah.
I feel like this is the first report where it's like, hey, this guy's getting in trouble for
It
gambling.
must be that bad.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
You know?
The evidence
Like,
has to be that damning.
Yeah.
Like
For us to be taking this many steps. I saw somebody say that they're literally doing this just in hopes that he can play in the playoffs.
Wow.
Like this is how,
I
this
get
is
it.
how proactive they're trying to be.
And that's why I think it's so unprecedented because like we've seen plenty of and in arguably worse instances and worse crime, not even crimes, but worse violations that get swept under the rug. And oh, you guys remember when this happened? So
Somebody asked if even the Zach sauce on your shirt is quarter filled.
oh, thanks guys.
Oh man, this is a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Yep.
I don't like people pulling up his clips of throwing interceptions late in games. And
Yeah.
they're like, now he's tanking. I'm like, no, he just bad play.
Yeah, that was
It's not great play, you know. I like the tape more and more that I watched it, but I still couldn't wrap my head around the money. How much they were paying him. I never could understand that. But I thought he was an upgrade at the position. But hell, I thought Hammond showed signs of life a little bit better than Morton sometimes last year. But yeah, he was hurt. He was hurt. By the way, I should know this, but random thought. I'm reading comments today from our Oregon film study. Man, are they not okay with us not being absolutely dialed the F in on every single kid? I mean, they expected us to come in front of that board and know their roster like Dan Lanning knows their roster. They were not okay with just the ball. They were, yeah.
Like-
Picky fan base. Passionate, picky fan base.
Okay.
The Oregon Duck fans.
Love the passion.
That's all I
it.
care about. Like we're fine being coached hard. I just didn't expect that to be the episode where we get coached that hard. Yeah. I thought they were going to be like, "Hey man, he took some shots at USC and told us our D-line's loaded."
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the feedback there, but nope, we were called idiots. So
And we'll resort back to this. If we could watch Big Ten footage throughout the regular season,
you damn
we
right,
might be
Jonathan.
more locked in on
You
the
damn
roster.
right. You
So
damn
don't blame us.
I will also say this: if you actually updated your roster, Dan, hey, you haven't heard this. You weren't here today. At Oregon right now, their 2026 roster has no heights and weights.
interesting.
It just has names and numbers. No bios neither.
No.
You know, just raw names and numbers.
What's the like? That's gotta just be. We'll get to that later.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought at first.
Probably.
But I also thought maybe like, hey, you know, just don't put it in there until August 31st.
Well, here's the thing though. Every other school has scouted and recruited the 95% of the players that are on that roster. They know the height,
Yeah.
weight, speed. Like that's definitely
Even if they didn't, there's a database.
Yeah.
That like every kid on a Power 4 roster, I guarantee you, has gone to a Rivals, Under Armour, some type of camp where schools everywhere. The moment you go there, the moment you weigh in, the moment you put a height, right into everybody's data systems everywhere. So there is no hiding official measurements anymore. In fact, we were breaking down somebody's film the other day, and I texted for the official measurements in the study and got them back immediately. 6'1" and a quarter, 283. Like we all have this data. We all have access to this data. So it's just a pain in the ass to go look for it. Is the problem.
Right.
All right, where are we transitioning?
Well, you mentioned Chaz Coleman.
Yeah, what's going on here? I saw some reporting on this today. Is everything copacetic?
So
Is everything getting back to normal?
well, the rumor was a few months ago that it might not be working out there, and it's kind of grown into the public now of hey, this really might not be something that works out for Tennessee. CBS put out an article on that, and reading it, it kind of doesn't look great. One of the quotes I have from it is, when talking to sources about Coleman's situation, they tend to point to three things. He's homesick and feeling the pressure as a newfound millionaire. He suffered a head injury at an unknown point during his time at Penn State and seems to have caused lingering vertigo symptoms. And then there are concerns about his tardiness and engagement level early into the Vols' tenure.
There's been some reporting. This is the only thing I have from a source. There's been reporting about how much money they paid him. They didn't pay him half as much as what they're talking about. There's reporting that, like, it's probably in the article. They gave him $3.5 million. It's not true. They did not give him that much money. But they gave him a lot of money.
They gave him a lot of money.
He's an important guy.
He's definitely a millionaire.
My question is, where's he from? Is he from Pennsylvania?
I believe so, yes.
So he was close to home at Penn State.
I actually think he's from Ohio.
I thought he was closer to Ohio State. My questions would be
Ohio.
Yeah, my questions would be for Knowles, the defense coordinator. Did he show signs of this at Penn State? Because everything I know about the Penn State tenure says yes. He was disengaged. There was a clip of him talking to Ohio State coaches after the Ohio State-Penn State game. There was some bad body language on tape. Like, all of that was there. I wonder if he thought that he could control this, if he thought that he could manage what was going on. Because obviously he probably had some type of role in bringing him down from, Penn State down to Tennessee.
Oh, definitely.
The signs of mental health becoming a problem arise in young men at 20 to 21. That's when we start really having all of our hormones are flushed. Now we get flushed with cash, everything. And we're far from home. Everything starts going haywire in our brain. We got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So, yeah, I just hope the kid gets everything all right.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds like a mental health thing.
Definitely, and I think that's the thing where you look at it and you say you wish the best for him and that everything works out for him. I think the flip side of this is talking about the implications that has on Tennessee and Josh Heupel, because, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the overarching sentiment on Heupel last year was he gets a pass, he gets the benefit of the doubt because of the way that they handled the Nico Iamaleava situation. His offseason actions bought him a lot of grace in 2025.
I would say it bought him a bunch of positive PR. I don't think there was a football coach in July last year that had a higher PR than Josh Heupel. All from a we stand on business here type of thing. Now, I don't know how much of that was left over come December.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
But I think that now you look at it in a year removed from the Nico situation, you look at this and you're swinging and missing essentially. And again, whatever's going on with Chaz Coleman, I hope he gets better. But it would essentially be a swing and a miss if he does not produce the way that he was expected to at Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I think that might have a even more negative effect on Josh Heupel, because like we said, he came into September and October and, all right, you know what, we've got this kid, we don't know necessarily what it's going to be, but Josh Heupel, the way he handled that situation so gracefully, you give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, I don't think he's going to be getting that come September because of what Chaz Coleman and everything else is with the program.
Also, if there aren't, and I don't know if you can do this nowadays because these kids they don't have a collective bargaining agreement, and there is nobody really representing the employees here that are signing these contracts. But there has to be some type of performance-based incentives in those contracts, right?
Most likely,
if let's say the 3.5 is bull crap. Let's say he's making $2 million over the next 2, okay? Which is, I would imagine, what the contract was for. If he's making $2 million over the next 2, I would imagine there's some. If you miss X amount of practices, you don't get your monthly check, right? Like, there has to be some type of checks and balances there in performance-based incentives, right?
Yeah.
It can't just be, if you're in Knoxville, we give you $2 million. No way they're that dumb. Nobody is.
No,
well,
I agree.
And not to compare the situations directly, but, I mean, Tennessee did have their own battle with another player, Boo Carter, last offseason with a situation of not showing up, not being present. We don't know where he is.
Yeah, he got doxed in playing time and money, I would imagine.
Exactly. So, again, not directly comparing the situations, because it sounds like Chaz Coleman has a lot on his plate right now, and some of it doesn't even involve the sport of football. But, I mean, this isn't their first rodeo, so I'm sure that hopefully they know how to deal with it. Hopefully they deal with it properly. Hopefully Chaz Coleman ultimately ends up on the bigger side of this.
All right, y'all want to talk draft? It's been 30 minutes.
Let's do it.
It's been 30 minutes. Let's talk some draft. Y'all got some initial reactions? Lord knows, I haven't put that much work into a draft since 2018 when I was covering it. I don't even think people knew me then. They definitely
The work
didn't.
paid off. You did a great job as
Thank
someone
you,
that was
sir.
sitting
Thank
in
you,
here
sir.
listening to you.
Thank you,
So
sir.
I thought you did a good job with that. But, yeah, we just kind of wanted to recap some of the bigger headlines of the draft overall that tie back into college football. Like the first one, boy, Dabo Swinney, not looking too pretty right now.
Yeah, I tweeted about this during my prep for it. I'm watching all these guys. I'm like, shit. Oh, it was after the NFL Combine.
Yeah.
I tweeted a video or the photo of Arch Ora farming over that Sam Houston linebacker.
Yep.
And that's exactly what comes to mind when I think of Dabo's draft record this year versus his wins and loss record.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, on draft weekend, you are aura farming like hell. Look at Clemson football. Just don't look at that record, buddy. Don't look at don't look at Sam Houston. Look at the fact that I scored a cool touchdown.
Yeah, and I think it's also like the indictment on Dabo for the last few years is that his teams haven't been as talented as they once were. And you know, there's so much that's deteriorated around that program. And while, yes, I think we can all agree that's true, they just had, I think they were top 5 for most draft picks out of all college football. Like, the talent was there. There should not be any world where they're 7-6. So I think that raises even more flags about Dabo Swinney because it's not just, hey, the recruiting isn't there anymore,
sure.
the develop isn't there. Like, it's just bad coaching at this point.
And I think people would point to the offense and be like, well, you know, Cade Klubnik ultimately didn't end up being what we thought he was going to be. The offense kind of teetered off. But I think next year you're going to find out how talented that offense was with some of the weapons that they have when they come out. Like, there's plenty of talent, it seems like, on both sides of the ball, specifically defensively. And that should have been enough for you to be better than what your record was last year and how it flamed out as quickly as it did.
What stood out to me about those Clemson guys is just like Peter Woods is, or I've talked about it, the weight shows me a lot of things, right? Like if you go 2 years of just packing on bad weight and then being like, oh shit, it's money year, I better get my body right. Like, how did you walk around for 24 months of your 36 months here and nobody get you to turn that on? What is going on inside the building to allow that to happen?
Right.
And I think the same thing about the Caden Proctor thing. Like, dude, no one in 3 years got to you to you. I know they told you, but no one got through to you.
Right.
That this is important, that I need to control what I eat, that I need to pay attention to my body, that I can't play at 370 pounds. Same thing with Peter. Like, and I'm sure somebody was talking to him about the fact that, hey, we're going to need you to play defensive end this year, not D-tackle. We're going to need you to play defensive end as a sophomore. You can't show up to camp 320 pounds.
Yeah.
And yet we do. When I see that type of stuff, I look at the coach and be like, why are you not able to get through to your kids? And then we talk about how many they had 7 draft picks, 6?
I think it was 8.
8?
They had 9.
They had 9 draft picks. Okay, 9 draft picks, and we have more draft picks than wins?
Yeah.
Crazy. It's bad. You're right. It is bad coaching. It's bad coaching.
Here's the worst part of it all. Let me read you the top 6 most drafted teams in the college football this year. Ohio State.
Can I guess them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ohio State, Georgia.
Nope.
Oh, Miami.
Yep.
Not Oregon.
Nope.
Okay.
There's a theme here.
Ohio State, Texas A&M, Alabama, Clemson, Miami, Texas Tech.
So all winners except for Clemson?
All
playoff
playoff
teams.
teams
Oh.
except for Clemson.
Oof.
So, yeah, it's bad. Like, I think this is one of the rare occasions where having this many draft picks is an indictment on you as a coach more than anything. It's kind of like I remember it in the 2022 draft class when Florida had all those really good picks and Anthony Richardson went top 5. It was like, how did Dan Mullen go 6-6 with this team?
Yeah, and I think we found out coaching was a bit of a problem down there with that. So no
Very
surprise there, and may not end up being a surprise with Clemson.
The second topic we have is that this is just really quickly. Ohio State kind of dominated the first 15 picks of the draft. What are your thoughts on Carnell Tate being that high?
I said it on the draft show that I was on with Levitard. It's just I think they did a combination of like matching best player available and position of need. They very clearly needed to draft a wide receiver for Cam Ward.
Right.
That's what they had intentions to do. If that was what I had to do it for, right? And I think it's either Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson. Then I'm probably going to take Carnell Tate because the Jordan Tyson stuff scares me.
I get it.
And we talked about that on the show. We talked about that leading up to the draft. Hamstring guys are hamstring guys normally the rest of their life unless they've just been wearing the wrong size shoes, which apparently is new. That's a very new thing to me. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I understand that, and I even said it, like, Carnell Tate to me will never be an NFL true, like, gotta tilt the field one. You know what I mean? Like, he'll never be a true 1,200-yard, oh, my God, how do we stop this guy today? But he's going to be a high-value, very good Z in the NFL for a long time. I also think it's important with a player like Cam to have somebody that we know is going to be where he's supposed to be all the time because Cam's not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious that there is now a real, genuine possibility that Carnell Tate is drafted higher than Jeremiah Smith.
It won't be. Jeremiah Smith, unless there are three quarterbacks that need to be taken, 4 quarterbacks in a row that need to be taken, Jeremiah Smith will be coming off the board in the top 3. Jeremiah Smith, I told you guys this. We will have to find a new word for generational. We'll have the scouting world entirely will have to find a new way to say that this is the best thing we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all know how great he is, but a lot of things can happen, and a lot of measurables and a lot of stories can come out that'll slide you down 2 or 3 spots. Like, being a top 5 pick is very, very hard to do.
He's a perfect prospect.
Yeah.
But I also think that I understand who we are talking about. So when I say this, don't look at me funny. But I think this draft also showed, though, ultimately what it's going to boil down to is like which teams are up there, who's drafting, what's the biggest need. Now, maybe you sit there at the 3rd overall pick and, boy, hey, we need an offensive tackle, but Jeremiah Smith, he's here. And I'm sure there's going to be a team, or there's going to be rumors at least of, hey, so-and-so really wants to trade up into the top 5 because they really want Jeremiah Smith.
I mean, the Ohio State defensive success at the top of the draft was ridiculous, and rightfully so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, I mean, McDonald went first the 2nd round, didn't he?
I think he went 2nd round.
That's what I'm saying. First of this, top end of the 2nd round. I think he went like 38th. So yeah, like the amount of elite blue chip prospects on that defense were obvious. I think we talked about them all year. No one was going to score more than 17 points on them, and no one did.
Yep.
Correct.
No one.
They were really good.
They were great. They were great. So yeah,
reaching for very talented players is kind of a theme for the next one. Jeremiah Love goes at 3.
Yeah.
First off, free Tyler Algier. How disrespectful you are as the Arizona Cardinals to give that man a contract after he sat behind Bijan Robinson, just wants a chance in the limelight, and then we go and draft Jeremiah Love. He's got to sit behind a rookie again. How dare you? How dare you? I know. You don't watch Sunday League. You don't do it.
You just named a role player on Sundays.
No, Tyler Algier's nice.
He's nice.
He a dog.
He's like
he's
that.
He's from BYU. He a dog.
He's like
Tyler
that.
Algier was a 1,000-yard rusher before they drafted Bijan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So just want to give that.
And then Arizona gave him a contract and drafted the future.
Left Atlanta to be a starter.
But he got his money.
He got his money.
He got his money.
Got his money. And so did Jeremiah Love.
What do they got, like $70 million this year tied up in the running back room?
Well, there's almost 70 probably tied up at guaranteed.
That's what I'm saying.
This dude got $50 million guaranteed to him.
By the way, I heard a lot of talking points about that. It's like, hey, the rookie is the highest paid, running back ever. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Like, based off their lifespan and based off their success rates and how successful they are early on in their career versus late in their career, their pay scale should be inverse to their age, more so than anybody else. Like, quarterbacks get paid most when they're 27, 28, 29, because they got to go 5 years of proving that they can be the franchise. The franchise gets squeezed out of these backs before they get to 30.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we should pay them in the inverse.
The reason I
balk at it because they don't have the parts around him. If you don't have the parts around him to be good in the next 3 years, you don't need to be drafting a back.
For sure. I mean, from a development standpoint, like, go look at any team that's drafted a running back in the top 10. They're still drafting in the top 10. They have very few playoff wins. But the reason I wanted to talk about was because this is the first instance, in my opinion, where the NFL and the NFL draft has kind of mirrored what's going on in college athletics, where you can be an established starter and, hey, solid player, but the shiny new 5-star 18-year-old kid comes in, and he's the one with the biggest contract with the guaranteed money. Like, Jeremiah Love, as great of a prospect as he is, as great, as generational as people claim he has not played a down of NFL football. There is no indication that he will be an absolute success, and yet he is the highest paid NFL running back right now. So has the most guaranteed NFL money. So it's kind of mirroring what's going on with the NCAA, where you get these 5-star 17, 18-year-old kids that haven't played a snap of football that are making more money than 75% of the roster.
I mean, look, I understand wanting Jeremiah Love. And look, I know I gave a rundown last week about how I thought he was being projected way too high for my liking, specifically pointing towards the stat that you're speaking of, Christian, when it comes to drafting running backs in the top 10. It doesn't usually age well. I don't know how this is going to age with Arizona. I certainly know that he's going to be getting a lot of touches probably if he's available, because no disrespect to Mr. Brissett, but our quarterback situation, or Mr. Carson Beck, whoever wins that job out there.
Put some respect on it.
Hey, look, he's been in the league for a long time. That's admirable. All right, so no disrespect.
No, I
to
said
him.
put some respect on it.
Oh, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I just think that drafting a running back that high, it made me a little queasy. Not gonna lie.
Dan Orlovsky was vindicated this weekend.
I felt vindicated this weekend, to be honest with you.
What'd you think about it, though? Like, him being drafted there.
So I thought it was
Ty Simpson, that is.
Yeah, we were talking about Ty Simpson at 13 to the Rams. I thought it doesn't make sense.
No.
It doesn't make sense. Like, I think Matthew Stafford has at least 2 more years of elite football, like elite football. And we just drafted a guy, like, let's say it this way. And I can't remember. I think Joel Klatt said it this way. It's one of the best takes I've heard from Joel Klatt. This got set for 4 years in college before starting for 1. Okay? Now he's about to go sit for 2.
Yeah.
2 more. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go 7 years. 8. We're going to go 8 years of football and play 1 season. We'll play 15 games. And by the way, not survive. Not survive the 15 games. That scares me. That scares me. But I feel somewhat okay because I've seen the film and I know what this guy is from a processing standpoint. It's not like we got to take 1,000 reps to get it, like understand how to play the position at a high level. I'm a fan of the prospect. I didn't like the situation. I didn't like the way McVay handled it afterwards. No. But apparently that was McVay being guru.
Yeah.
Peter Schrager's done come out and did it. And by the way, I hate to do this. If Peter Schrager says something, it came straight from Sean McVay via a text message, as did one of these tweets today about this Brendadn Sorsby tweet that I sent y'all. That was bonkers.
Very
absolutely bonkers. There's a major 4-letter word reporter today that very clearly got a text message from Cody Campbell to tweet something about Brendadn. That was weird. As was this. This was weird. So the Sean McVay thing was weird. Peter Schrager coming out and being like, well, Sean was doing magic tricks. He's just doing that so Matthew knows that it's still his team. He's protecting Matthew. But don't you think that Sean didn't have everything to do with this decision? The whole thing was weird.
Yeah.
But I like the player.
All of the optics around it were not great. Like then there's revelation about how Ty Simpson has never spoken to Sean McVay. It doesn't really know him.
It was all charades.
Yeah.
Apparently all that was magic tricks.
So
to
I don't
protect
know.
Matthew's
But like
feelings.
let's just boil it down to the bare bones of all of this. In my opinion, drafting that Ty Simpson at 13 in this draft class, when Sean McVay said it himself, Matthew Stafford has earned the right at this point in his career and the player that he is to be on a year-to-year basis with his career in football right now. Of I'm playing this year, I'll let you know about next year. We gave him the extension to lock him down if he wants to continue playing. But drafting that at 13th overall.
They let Mr. I like to hide in a dark hole for 3 days hold teams hostage. Matthew Stafford should get to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
With his longevity of his career.
Yeah.
He should be maybe I show up tomorrow, maybe I don't type of guy.
Sure.
Like he should be able to do that, but he doesn't. He does it the other way around. That's the way Rodgers chooses to do it.
Not just that. It feels like you're in, this is NFL related, but you're in such a win now window with Matthew Stafford. Like, time is fleeting with him. He is the quarterback that you believe is going to take you to a Super Bowl within the next 3 years. Why are you not getting a weapon for him?
I don't know, but Buck Bellew better be dusting off them Stetson Bennett tweet takes. I need that trade. I need that trade like I need air. I know they signed Tua, but come on.
Yeah, we signed Tua.
Free my boy Stet. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, tough
Free my
break
boy
for him.
Stet. Wait till y'all see him start game 1 of the preseason, though. He going to light it up.
Every time.
He going to light it
Every
up.
time.
Now, he might lose the game right towards the end, but he going to light it up.
No, he doesn't. He wins the game.
Usually
You're right,
it looks
you're right.
like he's
But
going to lose the
he
game.
throws-
You're right. He
throws
gets
it-
himself into a situation where he looks like he's going to lose the game and then wins the
Then
game.
he
Shout
wins
out
the
Steel
game.
Chambers.
It's
Exactly.
always the Stetson Bennett on his final drive, 6 for 6 for 76 yards and a touchdown. But the total stat line was 3 interceptions.
Don't ask how we got there. Just ask how we finish.
That's
You
right.
know? That's all that matters.
But yeah, tough break for him with it seems like Jimmy G's out. And it's like, oh, Stetson, your opportunity's coming up. And then Ty Simpson. But hey, he's got a battle with him. There's a battle now, according to Sean McVay.
We got some more draft topics.
Yeah, I think this also is a good one to talk about. Talked about how earlier Jeremiah Love's contract is reflecting the college football. I feel like what we saw in the NFL draft play out perfectly reflects the SEC versus Big Ten situation where
this was a layup take from everybody.
the SEC broke the record, for those who don't know, of total players taken by a conference with, I believe it was 79. It was somewhere between 75 and 90. Like, it was a ton of players. But if you go back and look at the first round, the top-end talent, the supposed best of the best, Big Ten dominated that. And I think that perfectly encapsulates where college football is right now, where from top to bottom, the SEC is deeper. There's more talent spread out across, but the cream of the crop is in the Big Ten. I don't think there's any debating that right now. The NFL perfectly reflects that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, and I think that we even got into this as we got later into the college football season last year of the Big Ten was spending premium dollar on the premium athletes. Now, they may not have more premium athletes at other positions than maybe some of these other SEC schools, but when it came to the best of the best, who is the best of college football this year, the Big Ten had those players, and it showed up in playoff games, whereas the SEC was, we got depth. We've got quality players. We've got guys that we recruited from high school. We're spending in both areas. We're doing all these things, but they didn't have the cream of the crop like you're talking about, but they still had really good players. And it led to Indiana winning a national title this past year.
I mean, Ohio State's still doing a whole lot of lifting for this conference.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
In the draft department. I'm looking at it right now. They had 11. The next biggest from the Big Ten was Indiana at 8. And then Penn State at 8.
Oof,
James Franklin.
That's tough.
Ohio State's draft class, considering like how the season ultimately ended for them, didn't win a national title, but they still had a lot of talent, obviously, on the roster, was very reminiscent for me of Georgia's 2024 recruiting class, NFL draft class, where if you remember, this is coming off of the 2022 national title game. Georgia doesn't make the playoff. They lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game. Don't win a national title, but Brock Bowers, first-round pick, Amarius Mims, first-round pick, Ladd McConkey, Kamari Lassiter, Javon Bullard, Tyke Smith, Cedric Van Pran, like super talented players in that draft class, but it doesn't really show for anything, but still.
By the way, the SEC hack needs to add in the fact that Alabama did this same thing for like 20 years in this conference. They carried the weight for a lot of this
100%.
conference. So,
Definitely.
not like I'm not aware of that. 87 to 68 was the split between the SEC and the Big Ten overall. But here's the more overarching point for me. It's the split between the Big Ten and the ACC, right? Between 2 and 3, the drop-off from 68 picks in the Big Ten to just 38 picks in the ACC and 38 picks in the Big 12. That really shows the split to me. It's just like how big of a difference these two upper leagues are in comparison to the other one. Obviously, the depth takes are there. I mean, I don't think there's any debate on that from Big Ten homers, right? Even the guys that believe that is the premier conference, and they have that right because they've won the last 3 national titles, there's no doubt. But I think even those people will admit that they're deeper in the SEC 1 through 16 than we are 1 through 12. And there's 18 teams up there in that league.
Yeah.
Simple math. I think you can obviously look at that. What's up?
I saw a report that Texas Tech played 8 players drafted all season long.
Yeah, and I think Oklahoma played 4 teams with 8.
Yeah. So it's just
Yeah, no, there's apples and oranges, big dog.
For sure.
Like we playing 2 different sports.
most
out here.
definitely.
I still don't believe that the College Football Playoff Committee applies such a degree of difference between these conferences, though. It's a major problem for me.
Yeah, but you can't.
Because that stat right, yes, you should be able to. Because that stat right there is staggering.
It is.
The idea that Texas Tech played 8 draftable players all year long, all right, before the playoffs, and Oklahoma played 4 games against 4 teams with 8 alone. That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly staggering to a degree, and I do think that there's no denying that
And one got to buy.
that there should be some form of leniency towards Big Ten and SEC teams when it comes to playoff seeding. But I think it has to be some rigidity.
You know what I think is really funny? I just thought about this. You know what I think is really, really funny? When people are like, Alabama's won a playoff game more recently than Georgia because they played a first-round like playoff game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was like, no, Georgia the last 2 years, guys, they've put themselves in the semis or in the quarters.
Quarterfinals.
In the quarters by seeding. And, yes, they lost those. You see what I'm saying? Like, these haven't won a playoff game. It's like, yes, they did. They won their first round by bye.
Made it as far as they both made it to the quarterfinal round. Ultimately, it doesn't matter who won a game.
It's just funny to me because, like, it applies here too.
Mm-hmm. 100%. You want to play a game?
Sure.
This is a rare opportunity where we get to play this type of game where we created a segment I'm going to let you react to my list.
Ooh.
Usually you get to bring some of your lists, and then we give our thoughts and opinions, poke holes in it. I'm going to give you mine of first-round picks this year that will be replaced potentially by first-round picks in the future.
Okay. I like this.
You chuckle at this.
No, I like this.
Okay, all right.
Who's a bust is basically what you're telling me.
So, for example, to start things off simply, Fernando Mendoza was the first overall pick. Will Josh Hoover be a first-round draft pick next year?
Oh, here's what you're saying. Okay, I thought you were going, they drafted Caden Proctor at 12.
Oh, no.
They're going to draft his replacement within the next 3 years.
At college.
Okay.
They just had a first-round draft pick, but they might have a future first-round pick coming in.
So the easiest layup is obviously Carnell Tate out, Jeremiah Smith in.
Correct.
I worded it differently.
Brandon
I did
Ennis
Carnell
in?
Tate
No.
to Chris Henry Jr.
Huh.
Yes, he will be.
Because, Jeremiah...
By time in, he will be.
So the reason why I did it that way is because Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate were on the field together anyways, so it's not like Jeremiah Smith is replacing Carnell Tate. But Chris Henry Jr. this year will probably be replacing the production of maybe Carnell
At
Tate.
that Z spot, yeah. I like that.
So that's why I worded it that way. How about this one? Mansour Delane to DJ Pickett.
We got to turn it run a little better.
Yeah.
We got to turn it run a little bit. Don't turn the Ole Miss tape on if you're a big DJ Pickett guy. They hunted him for a good bit.
For sure, but got the size. Got everything else.
Oh, God. I would take far more stock into Dejon Lee right now.
Fair. Absolutely. And if Alabama had a first-round corner this year.
And by the way, 2027, bad time to be a corner. In the draft. Bad time to be a corner. Hey, how about another Oregon fans letting us know? Brandon Finney, true sophomore.
Oh.
True sophomore.
For some reason because it popped in my mind because we did the freshman segment. So
that's on me though, because I'm a big Brandon Finney guy. I should know what grade.
Apparently not big enough.
See, it's on me. It's on me.
All right, here we go. Now this one, it's complete projection, but Francis Malinois, Jackson Cantwell.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think that's as much projection as you think.
But hasn't played a snap in college. But it looks like it's going to work out.
Yeah.
Sticking in Miami, Ruben Bain to Damon Wilson.
I think this will be immediate. Yeah.
I thought, honest to God, if we're taking edge rushers from USF and edge rushers from, like Romello Height was a top end third rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, he probably would have been a first rounder this year.
Yeah.
Probably.
Knowing Damon Wilson's going to get the production this year, like he's going to put up the numbers.
Like if he and Zion Young are in the same draft class, people are going to draft Damon before they draft Zion. Zion's stiff.
Yeah, for sure.
And he can get home at a 10 sack rate in Pro Bowl.
I think the logic behind Damon doing that is you might have been a first round pick this year. You can make $3.5 million this year and then be a top 10 pick next year.
Let's call it 2.25.
Okay. Whatever it was.
Let's call it 2.25, and you're right. We could go from, the signing bonus at 30 overall is probably like $20 million, and if we go inside the top 10, we're talking about $40 million. Mm-hmm. So a little bit different. You are correct.
This one is, if you knew the roster, it would be a little more finicky than just saying this guy's simply replacing this player. But ultimately, that's kind of what it feels like. Monroe Freeling to Juan Gaston.
Yeah.
Now, Juan's playing multiple spots at the moment. It's probably going to play guard and tackle, it sounds like, this year. But I think hopefully maybe by his junior season, that's put him over there at left. Or
I hope it's by the end of this year.
I want to see it.
I just let him play the next 30 games at right tackle, please. I just want to see it for myself. I just want to be selfish.
Mm-hmm. And despite what we kind of stumbled into during our film study today, Dylan Thieneman to Coy Parrish.
Yeah, Parrish or Parrish?
I don't know.
Are we a
Oregon fans will let us know.
Yes, they will. I think it's Parrish.
That's probably right.
So he's going to play the half field, it looks like. Now, I don't know if that's just because they need to play the redshirt senior, 33, because he was hunting. Hunting with the screws. So we'll see. And Coy, doesn't he have – will you look this up? I think he's got interception production. I think that guy turns it over.
Yeah.
So that might be why they got him playing the half field a little bit more. But Thieneman had 4 coming over. What do you got?
It's loading right now. He had 5 interceptions in 2024, but only 1 last year.
Yeah, so maybe that's part of the reason. We think he can cover a lot of ground and impact the football.
Got good ball skills.
Whereas Thieneman, elite tackler, and can cover a bunch of ground, but elite tackler.
I don't think these two guys won't play the same position, I don't think. And I didn't put them on the list, but I'll throw it out there anyways. David Bailey to LaDainian Guyton.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
the Guyton stuff's going to have to be a 12 sack, got to be a first rounder, by the way.
Yeah.
Because unless we run and test like Nolan Smith did. And for that matter, interview with GMs the way that Nolan Smith does.
Correct.
That's true, too.
And I'm not saying anything about Damian. I'm talking about how special Nolan is.
Yeah, I mean,
Nolan wins every room he's ever walked into.
It was pretty clear the first time they put that guy in front of a microphone that, this is
correct.
This is a guy.
This is a different breed of special, like, human.
Yes.
So, yeah, he could get people to invest at a first-round rate just by the human at 6'2", 245. Same body type here with LaDainian. Also, like, we've got to be able to show that we can play the run the way that Nolan Smith did in college.
Sure.
Nolan Smith played the run better than he rushed the passer at 240.
For sure.
There's a lot of questions about, in my opinion, whether or not we can be a first-rounder at that size.
Another one I stumbled into, and I didn't put this one on the list because a decision ultimately hasn't been made, but Ty Simpson, Keelan Russell. Don't think Austin Mack has, no offense to Austin Mack, but don't think he has first-round potential, at least not yet. Maybe he proves me wrong this season if he's a starter, but Keelan Russell certainly seems to have the tools and everything else of, that's an eye-catcher for NFL GMs, especially if the production is there.
Yeah, and I mean, to Austin Mack's credit, I don't think we came into 2025 saying Ty Simpson's probably going to be a first-round pick, especially with all the quarterback names that were in this class. Like, if you'd have told someone this time a year ago, hey, the two names that go in the first round are going to be Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson, not Garrett Nussmeier, not Arch Manning, not Drew Aller, not Cade Klubnik, not anyone else who was on that list. Like, I think we would all kind of laugh at you. So it could happen if Austin Mack wins a starting job and performs well in 2026.
Whoa. He wouldn't have laughed at you. That's Mr. Mendoza over there.
Me?
Yeah, you're captain of the Fernando Mendoza ship.
That is true.
You were on it first.
Yeah, that's right. I thought you
were on it first. No, dude, you had Cal Mendoza stock.
I did. I might be selling it soon, though. Not gonna lie.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Wow.
Might be selling it.
Why?
Just saying. It's at its peak right now.
Oh, it's time
The
to get out.
price is looking good. I
feel
bought
you.
it at its lowest. Got to capitalize on an opportunity.
So you're getting out at the top of the GameStop peak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Plus, Kirko Chains might be the starter this year. So.
You buying the Kirko stock, Falcons fan?
No, not anymore. Certainly not right now. I hope you do, though. Buy it all up. Eat it up, baby.
Yeah, whatever.
It's captivating.
I do think it is worth noting how, and this will never be confirmed by anyone in public, but it did feel kind of like the league was punting on this year's class as far as the picks go. Like, there were more trades than anything.
Yeah.
A lot of teams felt like there was kind of, there's not a prospect that we love necessarily.
I saw some shieldy complaining on the internet about they almost voted to just cut it off at 6 rounds because there's not enough good draftable players. Shut up. Raise your league minimums. If you want guys to get out of college and stop taking this NIL money, raise your league minimums. Ain't no point in me being a 7th rounder right now. I can make $900,000. I don't mean to call him out by name, but Jalen Farmer should be making $850,000 right now instead of being a 5th-round draft pick. I think he made a bad decision. Because if he comes back and he transfers, like he probably should have. I'm talking about the guard, by the way, that got drafted. Who did he get picked up by? I want to say the Chargers. Oh, no, the Colts. Got picked up by the Colts in the 5th round. That kid was all over everybody at SEC poach board for $850,000. And he would have came, played SEC football at a really, really high rate another year, and he'd have been a 2nd-round draft pick. So raise your league minimums. Don't complain. Don't complain about ages of prospects, because guess what? 3 years ago, you were saying, I'm so sick and tired of not getting a finished product. Where's all the good coaching? All I'm getting is 20-year-olds who got traits but ain't never been coached. Shut up. All of you.
No, I think it also, like, you might see a regression to what we had 30 years ago, where there was once upon a time where it was relatively taboo to not finish all 4 years of college athletics for a completely different reason than what we have today. But I think that you are going to have to see NFL teams adapt to the fact that players are staying 4, sometimes 5 years because the incentives are there. Now, I agree that the 7th, 8th year guys, let's get those out of here. And I think they're starting to finally get flushed out with these COVID years being gone. But I do think that you might just have to see NFL teams adapt to the way the league looked 3 decades ago.
That was my list.
I also think you gotta go when you're projected to go early, especially at quarterback.
definitely.
The more and more tape we give these guys, man, the more they're going to tell us we're not good enough. Holy hell.
The hindsight on some of these quarterbacks that we have now is like rather heartbreaking. Like Garrett Nussmeier, what would he have been last year?
Yeah, man.
Carson Beck, what would he have been?
Like, Garrett Nussmeier is a third-round draft pick, worst-case scenario last year. Worst case. And we went undrafted?
Didn't go undrafted. I think he got picked up in the 6th round.
7th?
Yeah.
Something?
Still hanging on there, huh?
I'm just trying to get you every once in a while.
Still keeping it alive.
You know.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think Carson Beck is probably the most tragic of it because you had a really decent year in 2023. Like some people say, scared to throw the deep ball. There were certain areas where you definitely could have developed. 2024 is an utter train wreck. You blow out your arm. 2025, you kind of build things back up. You take your team to the national championship, but
let's put it this way: we with both of those players, with Garrett Nussmeier and Carson Beck. What did we talk about? Not enough starts. Didn't have enough starts. Didn't hit the criteria. Not enough starts. Ty Simpson just went 13th overall in the draft.
Well, he did kind of have a backdoor relationship with a GM.
Hey,
by the way, are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to host college athletes at the GM's home when they're in LA playing for the Rose Bowl?
I don't see
because it was reported as if it was just like an everyday thing. Like GMs just be like, hey, don't worry about a hotel. Come hang out with me. Go just stay with us. And while you're here, hey, wink, wink, we're going to take you 13.
But
don't tell anybody.
The simple scapegoat there is family friends. Him and the dad are close.
Well, it's not
even, I know, but
it's not even like
I can scapegoat family friends every time now.
Just saying.
Well, I think
I've known him since he was a jit.
Well, also, I don't think it's an issue for the Rams because ultimately they're the ones who make the decision. Like if this were a free agency thing, sure. If this were a recruiting thing, sure. Where it's the player's decision to go to the school, ultimately it's the organization's choice.
You're right.
So I don't see there's anything wrong with it.
I'd never heard anything like this.
Yeah. I hadn't either.
I mean,
hey, I know Miami wants to give you 6.5. Don't. We're going to draft you at 13. Also, Miami was giving you $6.5 million of an offer before your transfer portal window opened because you were still playing.
Oh, I mean that's a given.
But we just got somebody for tampering.
Mm-hmm.
We just got Iowa for tampering, and we're looking at this like it's nothing. We're just going because he's going to the league.
Oh, look,
where's the consistency here?
We talked about the Iowa situation, how that's very much the NCAA going. That's someone we can beat up and is not going to fight back.
They turned themselves in.
Right.
I think the biggest discovery in all of this is, Ty recently said that Nick Saban had a big help in the decision-making of him going to the draft and not staying in college. I think what Nick Saban heard was, who called you? Who told you they're going to draft you? They have what pick? Don't you dare go back to college. You need to go get picked by the Rams, brother.
Yeah, the day of the draft, you told me this nice, heartwarming message about what do you love, football or money? And he was like, I love football. He's like, okay, go to the league. Little did we know he was told you're going 13. Yeah. The floor is 13.
Right. I love college, but the Rams said they were going to take me 13th over. What?
The who what?
Go.
Boys and girls, we have a whole nother hour coming up on the other side. Is it our local hour? We'll see you on the other side.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog?
What's up? Really like that? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back for another hour here on the local hour. We've got NFL draft reactions, recapping all of the players taken, who's the best fit, who was a steal, what surprised you most. Scott Howard news. This was out of left field.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I don't think anybody truly does.
I don't understand the disdain for him.
Yeah, that was weird too. I talked to Christian about that.
I think he's got one of the best calls in the last 20 years of Georgia football. Mm-hmm. The N'Kobe Dean dinner's cooking interception, pick six call.
Chef's kiss.
Oh, my God. I mean, it did a national championship under the weather of COVID. Probably shouldn't tell you about that. But, yeah, he was definitely sick.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He was fighting through it during that one. Man, that's anyways, we got that tonight. Early look at the 2027 draft class as well. And I do want to hit some super chubs before we get into this. Luke Roberts paid $5 to say gambling is awesome. We agree, sir. We agree. Responsibly. Call one of those numbers if you got a problem. Brooks, what have you done this offseason to better handle the touchscreen during reviews? I haven't. I've been handling the touchscreen for 6 years now. I bought that sucker pre-COVID, so I've been using that for a while. It ain't never going to go well, all right? Look, here's what you're going to learn about this place if you haven't already. We lean the F in, all right? We lean into all of the dirty, all of the, man, he's not really polished. Man, he's not really all that clean. Man, he showed up 5 minutes before the show started every once in a while. We lean right in because sometimes we find some of our best stuff. I don't try to be perfect on here. I don't know about these two guys, but I never try to be anything other than myself, and myself is very imperfect, as was that sentence structure. Myself is very imperfect. Lost my super chubs. TTU did not think they were going QB buying until Hammond got hurt, who is a homegrown 4-star. So this is a Texas Tech fan telling us that Hammond's injury forced their hand into the portal. I think they're going to spend that $6 million on somebody a little bit higher than Will Hammond, even though he played really well. I know he's homegrown. I know he's from Texas. Hell, I covered him at the Elite 11. I think he's a good football player. I think they was going to spend $6 million on somebody.
Probably, yes.
So there's that. Now, Scott Howard news? You want to start here?
We can start with
the
news.
Scott Howard news.
Why?
So it's really strange because they release a press release, the University of Georgia does, and it talks about how Jeff Dantzler is going to be replacing Scott Howard as the play-by-play guy.
Which unanimously loved.
Yeah.
Dantzler is
tremendous
red
job.
and black till he dies. That guy is very loved within the Dogs community. This, whatever I'm about to say about how much I like Scott Howard, is not a sentiment or a reaction to Dantzler being hired here. I'm cool with it. As the stench comb. Matt or John? Which one did they grab? John?
Which that started last year.
That's the taller, slender one that didn't play for the Saints, right?
Correct.
That was the one who had a better college career, but younger brother had a better pro career?
Correct. Matt is the one who still does color for the ESPN.
Okay.
Like he'll call a couple of Georgia games on broadcast.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, it just says that Dantzler is going to be replacing Scott Howard. Doesn't say why. It does say that Scott Howard is going to continue doing Georgia basketball games. And then you get a tweet from Scott Howard saying, hey, respectfully, was not my decision. So there's just kind of this gray area of, hey, don't really know what's going on. But I think ultimately the resolution to all of this is what you just kind of mentioned, Brooks, of, hey, Scott Howard was great at his job. Jeff Dantzler going to be great at that job, has always done a great job representing the University of Georgia. Have no doubts in our minds that he's going to do a great job being the play-by-play guy, but at least for us in this room, Scott Howard was great.
Howard was fantastic.
I was going to text somebody and try to figure out what went down, but I just saw 3 unresponded text messages. You know the rule. I'm a hard 3 and out guy. Unless you are a football coach. If you're a football coach, I'll text you nonstop because I know how you lunatics are. But yeah, if you're somebody who I don't want to bother, I'm a 3 unreads, unresponded from responding to you again.
But I saw this notion on Twitter, and I think you did too, based on what you alluded to in the opening of this episode of, people saying Scott Howard didn't have any legendary calls, didn't have any memorable moments, did a bad job. I don't think that you guys ever listened to Scott Howard because it seemed and this is coming from somebody, by the way, that listened to Scott Howard call the Georgia versus Notre Dame Sugar Bowl game on the radio on a cruise ship. So I have listened to Scott Howard. I am very familiar with his game. He's got plenty of great calls.
I do think that is another thing about this. Who's, no offense, but who's listening to
unless it's put on social media, not
who's listening to sports radio anymore?
That's true. No, I mean, it's definitely a last resort type of media. I know people said that back in the prime Larry Munson days, they'd mute the TV and turn on Larry Munson, which that doesn't happen anymore, especially with broadcast delay times and streaming. But
how much more of an audience do you think Scott Howard and the radio call pulls down as opposed to Roddy Nabolsi's live watch?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he's got 1,400 people watching him watch the game.
I'd say
there's so many different mediums is what I'm getting.
Right. No, I mean,
nowadays there's far more mediums to go listen to what's happening than just Sports Talk Radio.
I'd say maybe it's more than you think, Like, I don't know, though. It's such a hard thing to really figure out, like, how many people are sitting in their homes and they listen to radio because maybe they don't have TV or they're driving in a truck or,
See, like, I would love to know. I don't want you to out yourself, but like Pearsall in the chat, right, says, I mute and listen to Scott. Like, I'm going to just guess that Pearsall's done that because he's always done that. He did that back when Munson was calling games. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there are fans that do that. I see them at the games all the time. They got their heads on.
Yep.
And I'm like, what do you're listening to the radio. You're obviously not. You know what I mean? So
right.
there is an audience of it. I just don't know if it's not, it doesn't move the needle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's certainly niche because you want the homegrown coverage of that. And there's ESPN, sometimes they would broadcast it with Scott Howard's voice over it. I don't think this decision was made because, hey, Scott Howard's not moving the needle. We need to get someone in there fresh and new to kind of get excitement around the radio broadcast. I don't think that's why this decision was made.
And I think that Nick Carwell in chat, and not saying that this is how you think, Nick, but I think that what he's saying is he was good. He was just not Larry Munson. First off, nobody was going to be Larry Munson. But following that guy, I think maybe that does kind of put this shadow over Scott Howard and kind of skews people's perspective of him of, well, we just got one of the greatest to ever do it in Larry Munson. Now we get Scott Howard. And Scott Howard didn't live up to those expectations, obviously, because, again, nobody could. But I still think Scott Howard did such a good job.
Scott Howard
was
phenomenal. Fantastic. There are a handful of calls that Scott Howard had. I actually watched a compilation of it before the show started. Just like, man, this guy had incredible calls. The 2020 Peach Bowl kick, when Podlesny kicks the go-ahead, an incredible call. Like, some of the calls weren't his favorite people. Like, some people are mixed reviews on the Ohio State missed kick. That's whatever. Scott Howard did an incredible job. And by the way, one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet. So it's very unfortunate for what has went down there. I don't know what happened. I don't think we're going to find out until anytime soon, or we talk to off-air sources. But definitely something that surprised us.
Yeah.
That boy Scott Howard, give him 3. I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed my relationship with Scott as well. Always a back of the press conference sitter.
Yes.
And always gets in there early.
Yes.
If you're not in there when we're in there, you don't even know he's in there because he's already walked in and sat down. Heavy note taker in those as well. Never asks questions, just sits in the back, takes his notes. Treated me well, and you know my standard.
Always treat everyone well.
Yeah, if you treat me well, I'm good. You good by me. Because not everybody does.
But again, congrats to Mr. Dantzler.
Again, doubling down on that. Thank you for that reminder. It is not we just like Scott.
Yeah,
and we like Jeff too. Like Jeff's a friend of the show. Like I honestly thought about reaching out to Scott and doing an interview with him and we don't do a lot of them. Mm-hmm. But that is a guy that's old school radio, did a great job. I want to pick his brain.
Yeah, I do think it is kind of funny to note that if you've been a Georgia fan the last 20 years, you have seen more radio analysts than you have head coaches.
Huh.
Obscure stat of the day.
That just says how great this program has been for the last 20 years, 2 decades. So
that's a wild stat. Mm-hmm. What's next?
We could dive
into
the NFL
got the show
draft.
notes, by the way.
We could talk music.
Huh?
Could talk music.
What? Oh, was there a concert this weekend?
There was a concert this weekend.
A rather big concert. You had takes on this?
I do have a take on this because obviously there was a Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan concert that appeared to be.
How many Coors Lights was Kirby down on that one?
Some people, I didn't think he was hammered.
I'm going to call it 5.5.
Here's what I think the problem is, though.
A good
He
sauce.
was loose.
Yeah.
He was loose.
And that's why I think
he was drunk. I just don't think he was his normal robotic self.
Well, that's the thing. I think when Kirby Smart is out of the typical I am a head coach right now element, people are like, oh, this guy's off the sauce. Everything you hear
I agree with this.
Everything you hear about Kirby away from the program, away from doing media hits, away from being a head coach, he is a fun guy. He is outgoing. We've seen certain interviews with, former teammates where he is a very friendly presence. He is very open. I don't necessarily know that him being that rowdy on stage was alcohol induced as much as it was, hey, I get to actually be Kirby Smart, the person who loves the state of Georgia, who loves this program, and not Kirby Smart, the uptight, I'm running a multi-million-dollar college football program that has high expectations every year. So I don't necessarily think it was alcohol induced because the way he was acting very much reminded me how he's been on the national championship parades, where he's going around calling the dogs, he's cheering, he's jumping up and down. Like, I find it hard to believe that Kirby was hitting the sauce at 9 a.m. on a January morning.
If there ever was a time, though, that was the morning.
Not to bring national topics back into local hour, but Sorsby didn't turn 21 until January of 2025. If it is true that he gambled on that Indiana game back in 2022, he not only broke NCAA laws, but he broke federal laws.
So it's Joker's.
Oops. What were we talking about?
But no, this concert, it seems to be such a resounding success, and it kind of made me want to push back on a thought where there's.
I got a take.
There's kind of a go ahead and give your take.
No. Push back.
I'll say there's kind of a belief that the city or the team loses money when it hosts these events. Why would they be hosting concerts if they were losing revenue? Because surely you're not bringing nearly as much.
No. They lose revenue on days like the G-Day game. They make money on home games, just not as much as you think.
Okay.
Yeah, no. They lose money on things like we're charging $5 and a can of soup to get into the building.
Okay, that was the discussion we got.
There were floor seats to this joint that cost multiple thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So, here's what I will say. Here's the take. Okay, as we get more and more into a sport where money is king, right? It's always been king, but it used to be facilities arms race where let's get the nicest new weight room, let's get the nicest new locker room, let's have speakers and massages things in the seats, let's just spend $80 million on a brand new facility we don't need. Now it's become how much revenue, how much money can we get into the building so we can now pay our athletes without losing our ass and ultimately having to cut the women's softball team. Here's the answer: concerts.
Yep.
Do you know why NFL stadiums don't have natural grass? Because everyone wants natural grass. It saves the athletes. They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars. You don't think they want to protect their knees? No, they can't. You know why? Because they got to have 25,000 concerts during the offseason. And we can't have natural grass getting torn up every time we have to cover it up to put in a new concert floor. This is going to happen all over college football, and it already is. There's concerts popping up everywhere. Morgan Wallen's selling out stadiums everywhere in the SEC. You know why? Because we have to start doing this. We have to start trapping our stadiums out like they are business venues, because they are business venues. So get used to this. There is no like, oh, I feel icky about this. What if it ruins our field? Tough. Top Golf's coming. Concerts are coming. All of it's coming to your college stadiums because we need revenue.
Yeah, I mean, there's two in the state of Georgia this weekend with Bruno Mars and the one at the University of Georgia. Bruno Mars obviously at Georgia Tech, but
Yeah, that Bruno and Bobby Dodd.
Is that why that takes there?
Yeah, dude, best concert I've ever been to.
Well, you went to that one.
Yeah.
Oh, buzz down. This guy's all into Auburn Tiger football and Georgia Tech events. I mean,
It
good
had
Lord.
nothing to
Who
do-
is this guy?
Going to Sanford Stadium,
No,
going to Bobby
probably
Dodd.
could have gotten free tickets from my boss if I just would have asked,
Never beat the allegations.
I'm not even going to entertain
God,
these.
I mean, why spend all that money on education at that place if you don't even like it?
I've been
Jesus.
waiting a decade to see Bruno Mars live, dude.
It looked like a phenomenal
You know what?
concert.
There's a guy in this era of music that would have been a way better live performer and almost drew akin to that MJ guy, and then he decided he was going to put his hands on a woman.
Well, that hasn't necessarily stopped.
I know it hasn't, but it stopped those takes.
Sure,
Because
yeah.
those takes were made about that guy.
I
and
remember.
rightfully so. He's cost himself all of that.
I remember that, yeah.
POS.
I remember that for sure. But no, I mean, the main takeaway I have from this is I agree with you. Like, this is going to be something that becomes way more frequent. I think it had been, 13 years since they had last hosted a concert. I would not be shocked if summer of 26 or summer of 27 we see a
Boys, we got a World Cup game on the plains this year.
Yeah.
They're playing it at Auburn?
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty sick.
I think we got Messi, Ronaldo in that bracket or something. In that bracket, they're going to be introduced to Opelika, Alabama.
Wow. What a culture shock that'll be.
All right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Well, I mean, Ronaldo's been playing over there.
No, I know. They travel a lot, but still. All right. We talked NFL draft in the national hour. How about we do that for the Georgia hour? Again, just some general headline, big topics that we want to discuss.
It's been a blur for me. I couldn't even tell you. If you made me sit down and tell where all these kids went, I couldn't even tell you.
I could tell you the teams, that's for sure.
Yeah. I couldn't even tell you that. It's been an
There you
absolute
go.
blur.
Christian's going to give you a refresher.
Yeah, so
Give
we'll
it a
go ahead-
rundown.
We'll go ahead and do the quick rundown of players that were drafted. Georgia had 8 players total taken this year. Monroe Freeling in the first round of the Carolina Panthers. Kristen Miller went to the Saints in round 2. C.J. Allen to the Colts in round 2. Oscar Delp to the Saints in round 3. Zachariah Branch to the Falcons in round 3. Dalen Everett went to the Steelers in round 3. Colby Young to the Bengals in round 4. And then rounding it off, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles taking Micah Morris in round 6. Some undrafted free agent signings. Dylan Bell signed with the Minnesota Vikings. Brett Thorson signed with the Vikings. Bo Gardner, the long snapper, got a deal with the Bears. Cash Jones with the Atlanta Falcons. And Noah Thomas also signed with the Cincinnati Bengals. So Noah Thomas and Colby Young still on the same team.
And to add to that, I know Ja'Cory Thomas got himself a mini camp tryout with the Carolina Panthers.
Correct. So once again, a fairly fruitful experience for the Georgia Bulldogs in the NFL draft. I figure we take this time to kind of talk about what's the best fit in your opinion. We can kind of go down each one. And what do you think?
It's hard to beat going to your home state
Mm-hmm.
in the first round from Monroe.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Wait, no, he's South Carolina.
South Carolina.
And
But,
he's from South Carolina, and he's Carolinas.
Right.
They're the same.
Yeah.
The Panthers are our team, even
Yeah.
if I'm a South Carolina native.
Right.
My team is the Panthers, right?
It's the Carolina
probably the
Panthers.
Carolina
It's not
Panthers.
the North Carolina Panthers.
You're right.
It's the Carolina
Carolinas.
Panthers.
It should be the Carolinas Panthers.
Yeah, that's certainly a good fit just for the sake of where he's from and the overall, like, getting to stay close to home, close to Georgia, close to home, all that good stuff. I went with C.J. Allen.
Dude, the Colts got C.J. Allen and A.J. Halsey.
Yeah,
They're going to light people up.
That's going to be a good
They're
one.
going to be hitting folks.
Yeah, and they play the style of defense where C.J. is going to thrive in. I mean, he's going to be a standard Mike linebacker, play free, all the good stuff. I think he's really going to thrive there in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think an obvious one, and this one's going to be we'll talk about more in depth in a moment, but Zachariah Branch going to the Falcons.
Yeah, buddy.
That's an offense.
Yeah, buddy.
Big cheese over there, huh?
You know, hey, I don't ask for much as an Atlanta Falcons fan. I was interested to see if we were going to get a Georgia Bulldog this year.
They had the steal of the draft in the 5th round, I thought.
The Falcons?
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about the Perkins?
No.
No, the Oklahoma
I'm talking
guy.
about Kendall Daniels.
Oh,
Kendall
did you
Daniels.
see
I'm
Matt
talking
Ryan's
about Kendall
reaction to that
Daniels.
one?
Was he juiced?
Oh, my gosh.
What a vibe that guy's brought, huh?
Mm-hmm. They showed the war room after they drafted Kendall Daniels, and he was jumping all over the place, bear hugging people.
dude.
Yeah, really good football player.
But going to the Zach Branch thing, I also think the Zachariah Branch is a player that's going to thrive if you get him the ball now without many deep concepts. I don't think Atlanta has a quarterback room right now that's, hey, we're finna air this out. I think it is going to be, hey, let's find weapons we can get the ball to quickly and make things work.
First 6 games, we got to keep 13 upright. So, yeah, let's just get the ball out of his hands.
Or Penix.
Is he going to be healthy week
I
one?
don't know. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
I thought they signed Tua to give him the first 6 weeks.
Well, I think it's just kind of a safety net, maybe buy us some time. Maybe he ends up figuring things out again.
Old slant merchant Tua.
But, hey,
I mean, who
without
else?
taking a shot at the Atlanta Falcons while doing this, he's also a good fit because they had a major need in a wide receiver too, and specifically in the slot. Zachariah Branch, a perfect solution to that.
I also don't have any necessarily scouting takes on why this is great, but I just love Dalen Everett with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is going to be a very solid corner for a very long time in the NFL.
They already got a dude over there at corner, and Joey Porter. I mean, he's a dog.
Getting
so.
a guy to play opposite of Joey Porter is going to be very good for them. So those are the picks I think that were best fits, in my opinion.
He might end up kind of winding the clock back a little bit in his career where, oh, they have Kamari Lassiter. We're just going to go throw at this Dalen Everett guy a bunch of times in this game. Hey, they have Joey Porter. Let's just go pick on this rookie over here named Dalen Everett and give him a bunch of opportunities. So kind of flip-flopping maybe what he was used to by the end of his college career.
Yeah, the next topic we have is who do you think will be the biggest steal? I have Zachariah Branch at round 3.
I mean, I tweeted it out in the first round. I thought Monroe Freeling got to steal territory. I thought it was that. Like, considering like who was taken above him, the names that were passing him up, I know he was the first round, so it's really hard to say that he's a steal of the draft. But for that offensive tackle class, I thought he could end up being that.
He was OT 2 for me. He ended up being O lineman 5
Yeah.
because the Penn State kid went ahead of him. No, he was O lineman 6
Yes.
because Lamu, Francis, Caden Proctor, the Illinois or the Penn State kid, and then him.
Yep.
No, he was 7. Blake Miller went in front of him.
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
he?
you're right. Holy cow. Yep. I'd say that's borderline steal of the
That
draft.
is steal of the
Yeah,
draft. If you get Monroe Freeling as O lineman 7 at pick 19, you did a good job.
Fantastic.
That was a steal.
I also think a guy like Micah Morris, who might not necessarily be a day one starter, but was just such a solid player for you at Georgia. Wasn't flashy, wasn't anything where it's like, my God, this guy's a road grader, but also never really made mistakes, never really was a liability, especially in pass pro. I think getting him in the 6th round for the Eagles could pay off.
Where did he go?
He went to the Eagles,
Okay.
yeah.
I also think that Colby Young is in a situation to where, and I say this just because it's been what feels like forever now since we gotten a full season of Colby Young, and I know the Bengals got weapons for days. They are not lacking in the wide receiver department. Not saying that Colby Young is going to walk in there and take over Jamar Chase's job or take over T. Higgins' job, any of that stuff, but getting him in the 5th round, maybe you find something in the game taker that he is or could be, that he showed signs of being. I think that could very end up being at least a great depth piece for them at the wide receiver room.
Last one I have is Dylan Bell. I also think that, and yes, it's an undrafted free agent.
I thought he'd get picked up in the draft.
I was shocked that he didn't get drafted.
The idea that like special teams are so like they're actual they mean something. The kickoff now, the new rules. The idea that nobody wanted to draft a 6 foot, 210-pound, 4.4 running dude that has a history of playing special teams in multiple positions. That's
right.
crazy.
That's why I think he'll be a steal for the Vikings. This is a guy that quite literally can do whatever you want him to. If you need him to return kicks, he can. If you need him to be a gunner, he can be that. If you need him to be a slot receiver, a X, a Z, a running back, hell, he can do all those things.
Now that I'm thinking, did he have a tackle on special teams that you remember?
It
'Cause
probably
maybe that's what maybe he can't tackle.
Maybe.
But how do you know that as a?
Because he hadn't done it. If you don't play, if you're this size and you play special teams at Georgia after all the years he wasn't a true number one, then maybe you can't tackle.
Let me pull up his stats real quick because there's got to be a.
I just with our 3 football brains around here, I asked that question and none of us brought
It's
a
not
tackle.
a memorable one, that's for sure.
And like I could bring this up about Zamir White and you'd immediately have an answer. You have a special teams play.
Fair.
You know, you see what I'm saying?
Fair.
So maybe he can't tackle.
Maybe.
He had 2 total tackles in his career.
Were they on interceptions? We don't even know.
Yeah,
no,
we wouldn't
that
know.
you don't know
Yeah.
that. But
Well, if it was during the 2024 season, we probably would know.
yeah, they came in 2024 and 2025.
Say it. I mean, come on.
You're right.
The odds of that are pretty high.
So, I mean, yeah, there's a possibility of that. But still, a guy that could quite literally do everything for you. Now, he wasn't a Deebo Samuel-esque prospect, but he was someone who could do everything. I was shocked he didn't get drafted. So I think the Vikings got a steal there. Is there anyone you think got a steal?
Yeah, CJ being at 38, but like the was it 38?
Something like
Something
that.
like, but the linebacker market got so jacked.
Oh, for
like those
sure.
guys are falling like stones, all of them. I mean, hell, Anthony Hill got drafted in like the 40s or 40s, so that didn't really surprise me. I think they got a damn good player at a position in the draft that I don't know if they expected him to be there.
I was surprised that Thorson didn't get drafted.
I was to say the thing that
Yeah.
surprised me most was Brett Thorson not.
I know the
getting
Michigan
drafted.
State kid went, and I think another punter went.
The
in
fact
draft.
that 2 punters got drafted in the NFL draft and Brett Thorson was not one
Which,
of them.
you
was
know,
shocking
they
to
do
me.
say, like, once you kind of get into the like, especially for a special teamer like Brett, once you get into the territory of the 6th round and the 7th round especially, they say it's kind of better to be an undrafted free agent. Like, choose your spot, figure out the best place for you, who do you like the most, where do you want to go, and just go there.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Brett will probably. I don't know what.
First
Minnesota's
time in his
punting-
career, he's gotten to choose which team he wants to go to.
That's true.
With the punting academy that he goes to, or that he went to in Australia, you don't decide where you go. They tell you where you're going.
Well, if you've read any of their most recent recruiting stories, that's basically what's going on now with handlers, agents, and dads. So I saw an article today for a 4-star that committed to I think they won 3 games last year. That said, hey, they were asking basically like, what your NIL price tag was. He was like, oh, I don't know. My dad handled all that, but I know if you didn't reach the number, it was an automatic no.
Yeah, and I think this is also it's also a good thing for Brett Thorson that, and we talked about this. I think the fact that he doesn't hold, he never held.
It's
in
crazy
college.
how that influences you drafting him and you not, though.
I mean, yeah, but the punters are the holders in the NFL. Like
Just
that's
make the backup kicker do it.
Has
Or
Kirby
whatever. I
has-
don't know.
Has there ever been a moment during a presser where Kirby gets a niche question like, why do the quarterbacks hold?
He talked about this one time. Someone asked him about it, and I think it had something to do with we want our quarterbacks doing everything. We want them being involved with everything. And I would also say that when you want to run a fake field goal, it doesn't look too odd when you trot out the quarterback out there if you want to do something crazy.
Have they ever ran a fake field goal?
They
Yes,
have ran fake
Stetson
field
had
goals.
one. I know that.
Stetson
had
had one.
2 of them, I think.
They ran one in
There's your
the
answer.
Sugar Bowl against Baylor.
I do
Yeah.
remember him getting asked that at the combine.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I've been practicing him my whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would imagine that's something
Boy,
they certainly make him practice.
Yeah, I'm not taking time for Gunner to go down there and take snaps. No. You can hold down there, Brett, for the practice kicks.
For sure.
It's okay.
Were you surprised that Zachariah was the 5th Bulldog taken off the board?
No, I think Zach is one of those – Zachariah, by the way. I think Zachariah is one of those people – it sounds so cliche, but and I know that they can't give real football answers as to why they're drafting guys, but listen to those GMs talk about why they pick guys every time in those post-game or post-draft press conferences. Every time it's like, oh, this guy's all about football. This guy's football character's through the roof. Oh, this guy eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Oh, we can't keep him out of the building. Oh, my God, he blew us away in the pre-draft interview. Zachariah is one of those guys.
Right.
So, like, no, I had no doubts that he was going to be a 3rd to 4th round draft pick.
I know, but
0.
I'm surprised that if you took a class as a whole and said Zachariah Brents would be the 5th of these players taken off, I'd have been kind of surprised by
You
that.
thought he should have been higher, like the 3rd?
Well,
But it's a height, weight, speed league.
Correct.
And let's put it this
that's
way.
probably
By the way,
why.
I think he's a one of one. I think he's the only football player in NFL Combine. Check me on this, AI. I think he's the only football player in NFL Combine history to run in the 4.3s and bench more than 20 reps.
wow. It wouldn't
Wow.
surprise me.
That's shocking, actually.
Him going behind.
Maybe Taylor Mays,
Maybe.
I don't know.
God, dude,
but
Taylor Mays is a
test him.
freak.
Have him piss in a cup. It'll set it on fire.
Him going behind. Him going
It'll
behind.
melt that plastic, Kirby.
Yeah, it would.
Him going behind Delp ultimately didn't surprise me, just because, for starters, the tight end class was so light.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
What in the hell was that Jaguars pick?
oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about Oscar not having production, right? No season with more than 300 yards receiving. That dude didn't have I think he had 20 career catches. The Burkhecker kid or whatever, Birch, from A&M. The Jags pick, insane.
Yeah.
At 58.
The Falcons signed Auburn's tight end in the undrafted free agency market and gave him over $1 million. They believe in him for whatever reason.
15?
Something like that. Yeah.
The kid that dropped the 4th down?
Frazier, I think it
The
is.
kid that dropped the 4th down play against Georgia?
Now you're making me really sad about it, and I don't really
I mean,
appreciate that.
they
very
beat you
much.
guys if he catches that ball.
Hey, well, he didn't.
I mean, Auburn beats Georgia if like 5 separate plays don't happen in that game.
I also
so.
thought it was great that Oscar Delp's dog took over the entire weekend
Yeah.
Yeah, that
of
was
the NFL
sad.
draft.
My man went mega viral.
Anytime a dog goes viral, it's always fun. There's always that one draft moment that goes viral for some reason, like Ruben Bain walking. past
Belichick
him
draft
there.
dog or Delp draft dog?
Delp draft.
Delp's more. That's a good wholesome.
More
thing,
wholesome.
man.
A good
Yeah.
chocolate lab,
Yeah.
dude.
We were just trying to get some PR.
He just
in the
wanted his
Belichick
spot on the
house
couch,
that
man.
one time.
He just wanted to lay comfortably on the couch.
Yeah.
That has to be his spot.
Oh, 100%.
By the way, speaking of houses at the draft, did you see how many windows were at your quarterback's house?
Did you see how many people were at that party?
I mean, I directly correlate the amount of windows in your house to how much money you have. This is a direct correlation. If your entire house is from bottom to top window pane, I'm like, buddy, you got bread. You got bread.
Interesting. No, I mean, yeah.
You ain't never been into a rich person's house and not seen a bunch of sunlight.
Honestly, mine's always associated with how big is your front door.
Oh, I bet that bitch was massive.
It's like, hey, if you got a big front door, like it's got some weight to it when you pull it open. Yeah. That's, I don't know. That to me is the niche. Like, oh, you got money.
But yeah, I mean, I felt like I honestly thought more people would go in the draft. Like 8 feels relatively low for a Georgia class. Now,
I was only surprised wholeheartedly. I was only surprised by Thorson and Dylan Bell not getting picked up. Those were the only two where I was like, oh, that's a little surprising. The other ones, I understand why.
Yeah, I mean, but even Noah Thomas, like that felt like a 7th round pick at some point. But I
mean, for some of these guys, like you just mentioned with the Auburn tight end, it's better to be a free agent.
Yeah, dude.
I learned this with Rodrigo Blankenship. I talked to him about it. Mm-hmm. I was like, why didn't you? Did you want to get drafted? He's like, no. The last thing I wanted was to get drafted. I had a bidding war.
Yes.
Between four teams wanting me to come into camp, just to come into camp. So yeah, I got far more money being a undrafted free agent than I would have as a 6th or 7th round draft pick. So sometimes it's advantageous. Back in the NIL days,
Yeah.
basically.
I mean, that's essentially what
You
it is.
get to put people against each other and bid against each other.
For a lot of that's their first taste of NIL.
Yeah, for some of these guys.
So, but that kind of wraps up the 2026 draft class for the Georgia Bulldogs. So we are a year away from the next one, but I figured we could kind of take a look at the 2027 draft class and kind of point out who might be some first-round picks, where certain people might be going, who you might have to replace as far as that goes. So J-Will and I can – what were you about to say?
Oh, I thought he was going to go to the board for a second.
I
was
was say,
he had a football epiphany?
J-Will and I concocted a list of potential first-round picks for the 2027 draft class.
Yeah, and we're about to rattle off 5 names. Okay, so when I say it didn't seem like a lot. But it didn't seem like a lot. It didn't seem as many as I kind of would stumble into, or I initially thought I would. But 5 names potentially going in the first round are guys that we think maybe could end up going in the first round. That ultimately is a lot because, I mean, they had 5 go in the 2021 season. So now we have one wild card at the end, and I'm going to save it for the end.
It's Jaw Jackson.
It's not.
It's
but
not
should
Josh
be.
So
Jackson.
nice try.
It should be.
Okay, well,
Wow.
if you want to add him to the list.
Right now, I just did.
Number
While I was
one,
going to the
though,
bathroom.
Ellis Robinson. That seems to be the consensus. Like, that's a first-round guy
Yeah.
from the outsiders at this very moment. Some people think this guy is top 10 potential. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with how Ellis ended the season, and rightfully so. He had a strong close to the year. It looked like he was really tapping into what people expected him to be when he was the number 1 player in the country, a 5-star prospect. If that's what he does for the entirety of this season, he certainly has first-round potential.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think the hype you've heard about him coming in, even when he was a recruit, to what you finally saw on the field in 2025 was it measured up all of that. It kind of points to him being one of these cornerback 1 prospects throughout the year. Now, he's got to deliver in 2026, but it absolutely could be that.
I do want to clear the air on one prospect that has already been mentioned in chat, and that's Nate Frazier. Nate Frazier is not on this list because I don't know if you've checked what next year's running back class could look like.
Right.
But holy cow, there's 2 taken in the first round this year.
There's usually no more than 3 running backs taken.
I mean,
in the
we're
first
talking
round.
about Ahmad Hardy from Missouri, Keywan Lacey, Ole Miss, Mark Fletcher out of Miami. There's another name that I'm forgetting at this very moment. And this is no slight to Nate Frazier, but for
Jaden Ball.
Jaden Baugh, that's a great shout out there too. Like, for Nate Frazier to be like first round prospect, that dude's gonna have to go nuclear this year because the class could end up being that strong.
In which, by the way Kirby Smart and Georgia handle their running backs, you don't typically go nuclear.
No,
Like, that's just the way. Like, you will get a modest 15 to 20 carries most a game, and if you get a 100-yard game, that's great. But you're not going to be someone who's consistently. You're a bell cow running back, so I don't think Nate Frazier would go nuclear.
I got
Not because he can't.
I got a text from an NFL source the day after, so this would have been Sunday night. Saturday night, as soon as the draft ended, he was already turning on next year's potential first rounders, and he was like, "I love Ellis." Immediately,
Right.
it's like, "I love Ellis."
That's the consensus.
Like, just wait till you see Leonard Moore. But he'd already watched that one.
yeah.
So yeah, Ellis already has the NFL's
The
attention.
corner class next year is pretty strong too. If all those guys go, like Xavier Brown's going to be in the mix.
The class as a whole is really strong.
Yeah, this is a
it's
very
gonna
strong
be a
class.
strong crop of players over that corner. Now, this is the name. I haven't been seeing it. I haven't been seeing him mentioned in the first round, and I don't know what that has to do with. Maybe because the production wasn't what they thought it would be in year 2 for him. But Chris Cole has first round potential written all over him, like size, everything. Again, I think maybe it's because he didn't have the sack potential that people thought he would this past year and all that stuff.
And I always wonder how much these shieldies is what I'm calling them from now on,
Why are you calling them these?
because they
The logo
protect the
is a
shield,
shield.
baby.
Oh,
They're
okay.
shieldies. They're big shieldies, big Sunday shield guys.
Okay.
I don't know how much these guys actually know about college football. And if you watched any playoff football last year or any SEC football last year, the first takeaway from watching Georgia on defense is, who the hell is number 9? My God. So yeah, they're just not watching it. Them shieldies ain't paying attention.
Yeah, and I
to
mean,
ball.
I think Chris Cole is also a guy who could have a very much a Jalen Walker trajectory where you come into the year and you don't necessarily know what his role is going to be, especially with the Amaris Williams injury. Like, Chris Cole very well might have to be your win now pass rusher at certain times, so he can kind of wear all those hats. I do see him kind of having potentially this Jalen Walker trajectory.
These guys have no idea. Like, I'm looking at the consensus board right now, and Drew Bobo's name comes up before Chris Cole's.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? Like
Hey,
these
love
NFL
Drew
guys.
Bobo,
These
but
NFL guys have no effing clue what they're looking at.
that tells
right now.
me that they just saw Drew Bobo's been starting or like started half a season.
Chris Cole's ranked 86. Drew Bobo's ranked 71st. These
Yeah,
guys
I
have
know.
no idea what they're looking
Well,
at.
they'll find out.
Whit
soon.
Weeks is higher right now than Chris Cole.
Now, for
Can't abide
these
by
two
that.
players, we kind of determined that it would be one or the other. We don't think that both of these guys will go in the first round just because they kind of play the same position, and I think one of these guys is going to get the better end of the production perhaps than the other. But one of Gabe Harris and Quatavius Johnson could definitely end up being in the first round.
Have you already talked about KJ Bolden?
We have not.
Okay.
We've not talked about KJ, but KJ's also in the mix.
Chat's really not this guy. The chat's really not gonna lie. Julian Sain will not be a top 15 pick.
I crap you not.
It's not gonna happen.
Someone had him at first
It's
overall.
not gonna happen.
I agree.
Nobody. I don't believe an NFL organization will look at a 6'1", 205-pound quarterback and be like, "Well, he can't really throw it 45 yards, but I'll take it." Hey, he's tremendously accurate. Okay. Hey, let's draft him and hope he's Drew Brees.
That'd be the take. There's a little Drew Brees in this guy, we think.
Let's hope he's a 1%er.
The arm's not
Like,
on.
look, hey, I like Julian saying the college quarterback.
Yes.
I am not buying Julian saying QB1. I'm not buying Julian saying top 15 pick. I'm not. I can't do it.
Well, since you mentioned it, we can talk about KJ.
Well, before we do, Quintavis or Gabe Harris, we feel like are going to one of those two will be a first round.
We
pick.
just figure like if one of these guys ends up getting a good amount of production, like sack category, of course that's going to get all the flash. But I feel like one of those two guys, historically speaking, too, with guys that play defensive end or jack for Georgia, there's a pretty good track record with those guys in the NFL draft. They test well. Sometimes its numbers don't even matter to NFL teams because they're so freaky. They're such freaky athletes. So I feel like one of those two guys could definitely end up being in the first round if it all pans out. KJ Bolden, though, of course, he's certainly in this
The
mix.
off the wall one that comes out of nowhere is going to be Jaw Jackson. If Jaw Jackson starts 12 games this year, he'll be a top
I
45
got a
pick.
better one for you.
It'll happen
I got a better one for you.
because he's 6'10", and NFL draft guys are going to look at that and go, oh, just like Georgia's been doing for 3 years.
They'll have another one of those moments if Jane Riddell has the season
Yeah.
that they think he will.
Yeah.
If he's taking
Yeah.
jet sweeps to the crib and if he's super productive in the passing game this year, everybody's going to see it because you stumbled into it during G-Day. You think these NFL GMs aren't going to watch that and be like, guys, there's another one. They got another
they
one.
got another
And
one.
guess what? We can get him at 32.
Yeah, we don't have to fight for potentially top 10 pick.
We don't have to trade away the organization.
We could simmer on this one for a little bit, but that's my off the wall one of like if everything goes perfect, if it pans out the way it could, Jaden Riddell could be a first round draft pick.
I also want to know your opinion on is Isaiah Canyon, does he have this ceiling? Because from everything we saw, like he measures well. I think the production has to be there to obviously be a first round pick because you haven't done it for
Yeah,
Georgia.
production, and we got to magically run 4.42.
Okay.
I think he's a 4.55 athlete.
That's-
He's a 4.52 athlete.
Which probably won't get you in the first round, especially given the
Like,
receiver class
to
that
me,
you have this year.
he doesn't have near the production this kid does, but he's more Malachi Fields than he is NFL X to me.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's fair. Third round draft pick, at its
Yeah.
peak. I think that's kind of fair. But those are the names that I could think of, like guys that could
Joshua
go.
Armstrong, you keep showing up and dropping ball knowledge in my chat. I might mess around and hire you if I ever have enough money. My guys, I mean, he dialed in the chat right there. Certified ball knower, ain't no doubt.
Is there any names you would add to that list though? I think that kind of covered the bases.
I
in
mean,
my
y'all
opinion.
talked Q Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Gabe Harris. I think Gabe Harris is going to be a top 45 guy, top 50 guy. I think I think of Gabe Harris's NFL potential no different than I did Kristen Miller's,
Yes.
where we're just such a high-end football player. But then again, he plays a more premier position. He
does.
Why isn't his draft stock the same as Akeem Messidor's next year?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
You know what I mean? And not as old either. So could be something there.
For a guy like Khalil Barnes, we said size-wise, and for
not
like
going to test. Not going to test well.
And
enough.
like Christian brought up Tyke Smith, which was perfect. Of like Tyke Smith was one of the best stars in the sport at the time. He's a third round draft pick. That's kind of the range that type of guy goes in. Like incredible football instincts.
Tyke ran 4.41
I know he did, which you were pleasantly surprised by.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That dude was turning in 4.62s during the summer combine.
Oh, yeah, I
12
forgot
months,
about that.
8 months before. That's why.
He's why they changed the turf.
Yeah.
They're like, this Tyke Smith guy? What?
No.
But he's balling out. He's
Balling.
working out the league.
I mean,
Great
they
career so
they just
far.
drafted a nickel over there in Keontae Scott because Tyke was playing safety last year, and they weren't good enough at the nickel. Mm-hmm. So they just drafted somebody there after Tyke. Tyke's going to play a long time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was kind of known when he came to Georgia from West Virginia, like this guy is a baller. Unfortunately, injuries prevented him from seeing the field in a regular capacity those first 2 national championship seasons. But by 2023, it was very apparent that, this is the guy that we got 2 years ago is completely flourishing. So I can completely see him doing that in the NFL for another 5-6 years and being that premier slot player. The 2021 roster has made NFL draft history.
Yeah, 45 draft picks, huh?
Yeah, so Micah Morris obviously is the last of the players.
Do we have the list?
We do not have the list,
I
but we
could
can
tell
we
you.
can
I
find
can
it
find
in
it right
Okay.
the
now.
next few seconds. But Micah Morris was obviously the last one of the 2021 roster to win that national championship, which is kind of crazy that you are completely out of players that played in that national or even were on the roster for that national championship game. Feel like it come and went, but it is the most players drafted in a single roster of the modern era of college football, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a historic feat.
Now, will the 2024 Ohio State team break this record will be the question.
There's a very good chance that it
But
does.
They had guys that, like Caleb Downs, didn't play on that national championship team.
You know what? I'm going to say they
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. I'm going to say they don't
Huh.
because I think that they have – you're in an era where there's so much overturn. There's so much roster overturn in that of guys that join late, come out. Like the 21 roster is kind of the last pre-portal class. And the transfer portal was
Definitely the last time that a redshirt freshman on that team is still on the team that just gets drafted. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. Yeah.
5 years later.
Right, like Carson Beck is a perfect example of this. Like Carson Beck could have finished out his career at Georgia and been one of these players. So like you see so many transfer aways at this point that I don't think it's going to happen.
I can't find an entire list of it.
I can read them off to you if you just give me 1 sec.
Yeah.
Well, I tried doing the NFL draft history, but like Carson Beck is included in this.
I know what he's going to
I know no, he actually isn't. See, you can't do that though because Carson Beck isn't going to be on that
Well,
list.
we can just count them off.
Why isn't Carson going to be on that list?
Well, he's looking at UGA NFL draft history.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
was
He's
drafted out of Georgia.
He's technically not on that list. So.
Yeah, he is.
But he's included on the football.
He's included on that 45.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
he
then-
is included.
So then, yeah, Ohio State could catch it. I thought it was you got drafted as a player on that team. But no, I mean, absolutely.
Because apparently there's a scoring metric out there for like you score certain rosters.
I think the writer that wrote this has his own metric.
Okay, he may
Is
have
the way
created
it
this.
tweeted. It's read when I read the tweet.
And I think it was Carson Beck that lofted Georgia like right in the range of 2017 Alabama, and then Micah Morris tipped the scale. And there's like different scoring metrics for round that the player is drafted in and all that good stuff.
45's a lot.
It is.
a
I don't
ton.
think we have to rattle off every name for you to know how many players that is. I mean, that's close to half the freaking roster.
Yeah. What tipped the scales for me on depth was Robert Beal being a third-round draft pick. It's like, that guy never played here.
Yeah, he was a
He
rotation
hardly
player.
ever got snaps. And
Was Robert Beal really a third round?
I think he was top of the 4th at the
He
latest.
was in that range. Do you think that in that draft, though, there might have just been like, everybody's taking these guys. Maybe we need to get into the mix on that one because, hey,
I think his was testing.
you know,
He went and tested like 4.68
that's true.
at that size.
Oh, no. He ran a 4.48.
Oh,
That's what it
there
was.
you go.
4.48 at that size.
Yeah, I mean, he lit, and that was the other
He
thing.
was a
like-
Niners pick, wasn't he?
Correct.
Third round?
He's now with the Dolphins?
173rd pick in the
So that
fifth,
would have been fifth round.
round.
Okay.
So, but I mean, still, like,
Still, god dang.
Is he with the Dolphins now? Is that
I
who he's with?
believe he is now. But yeah, no, I mean, just the sheer amount of talent that was on that roster. And everyone talks about how, it needs to get back to this. I don't think that's the standard that has to be set.
Even if college football if college football never changed, if it didn't change as much as it has from the 2022 NFL draft class to what it is now, that would still never be the standard. That is not the standard. That is an anomaly. That is something that may never ever and probably will never ever be achieved again. That is absurd that there was that much talent on that roster.
Yeah, and I think that's a classic case of suffering from success where you have such an unprecedented amount of success in a 2-year span to where it kind of becomes the expectation of your fan base. And you see that sentiment ring out every time Georgia doesn't win a national championship or beat a team by 45 points. What's that face for?
Guess who's a top 50 pick on this consensus draft
You're really
board in
stumbling into these,
2027?
aren't you? What is it? Who is it?
Former Dogs corner.
The one at A&M?
No, Chris Peel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his half brother just got picked up.
Sure. Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that.
2026. I talked to a Georgia Tech coach today. He was like, "They did what?" I said, "Coach, an in-state kid." He said, "He's what?" I said, "Coach, he's 6 foot 210." He said, "He runs a what?" I said, "He runs a 4.48." And he looks at me and was like, "Mike, what are y'all doing? How y'all let the rich man pick that one up off the street?
Hey, don't even point the finger at
How y'all let the billionaire find $100 laying on the ground?
Don't even point the finger at just Georgia Tech. Georgia State, what are you doing? Like
all of you,
all of these schools.
all of you.
And you
What
let
are you
the
doing?
big dog in the state get him.
For free? Yeah, for free.
It was absurd looking at his numbers and then going and looking at his offers. Hardly anybody.
Yeah.
There was nobody interested.
And this is supposed to be the state where it's like everybody's over-recruited.
Yeah, nobody, no stone unturned.
I saw a kid today that has – I shouldn't say that. Never mind. Continue. What were we talking about?
Just talking about how the expectation that was set from that 21 and 22 season isn't necessarily what the standard is attainable, especially in this era of college football, which is unfortunate because it is some of the greatest years of Georgia football that you'll ever see. But at the same point, the way the sport is constructed now, and I think the sheer luck that you had with certain guys, like the odds that a Nolan Smith rolls through your program.
You know what? I take all my hatred back for this consensus big board because this guy Sam Levitt QB like 17, so maybe they know ball.
He's completely detached.
Maybe they know ball. Maybe they know ball.
From the
Who
local
knows?
hour.
Is AJ Harris at Indiana?
Yes. He sure is.
Whew.
And that's funny because I thought he would have been to the league like 2 years ago.
Facts.
That guy had
was
incredible tape at Penn State.
The only thing I worried about was his top end speed, and maybe that's why he's not in the league right now. Maybe he can't run.
Perhaps.
That's what Georgia's only concern was. Like, this dude's a dog. But
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about the top end speed.
Yeah.
Certainly didn't impact him over at Penn State. I'm sure it won't impact him either over at Indiana. So
We did kind of gloss over this with the Scott Howard news, but we did have a sub-segment for that of what are your favorite Scott Howard calls.
we know yours.
We know yours is the dinner's cooking.
15, 10, 5, dinner's cooking. Look all we need. Touchdown, dogs.
I think he's listened to it a time or two.
Yeah,
don't
I think
you think?
he has listened to that plenty of times, certainly. But I did you have a list for this? Because I had a few names.
I didn't put a list together. I will say, though, the Hot Pod call during the Peach Bowl in 2020 against Cincinnati, incredible. I thought that was a great call. That was one I don't think I'd heard either. I also sometimes forget, like watching back that montage before the beginning of the show, how far back Scott Howard goes in these calls. Like, it kind of feels like he entered around the program, at least for me, the same time Kirby did. But this dude's been around for a minute.
Scott Howard took over in like 2007 for road games because Larry Munson stopped traveling, and I think he took over fully in the 2008 season or 9, I want to say. But he's given you a near 20 seasons of iconic radio calls. So that's definitely one. The 2020 Peach Bowl is certainly one of them. As Brooks is going to pull up the dinner's cooking one now.
No. I'm pulling up Rose Bowl Sonny
The
Michelle.
Rose Bowl one's good.
The Rose Bowl Sonny Michelle.
This is courtesy of Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network.
On the 27, it's second down and 12. We go wild dog with Sony. Nauta goes in motion left. Snap it to Michelle. He's running to the left. Angling. 25, 20. Got a block from 50, 10, 5. Touchdown. Dogs win it. We're headed to Atlanta.
Like, come on, man. How do you
Dude,
not
how
love
can you
that?
not tell me that
How
is
do you-
iconic?
Come on.
He's got the right scruff to him as a radio guy.
The voice
So
is like,
perfect.
it cuts through the air perfectly.
I'm finding more of them.
People want to say, like, all he does is scream in the mic. Like, yeah.
That's the point.
The best
Yeah.
part about having your own sports network radio host.
He ought to sound like he's levitating.
Like, come on. Like,
Yes.
the best part about the Chris Davis call from the Auburn radio guys is that they're just losing their absolute
they're
minds while
fans.
trying to call the play. Like, even they're like, oh, my God. Oh, my God! It's like that's every fan that was
And he's
watching
going
that
down the
too.
sideline. Auburn wins.
Come on, dude. That was every fan's reaction watching that if you're an Auburn fan. Like, that was you too.
Another good one is the 2012 Florida game. He has 2 iconic calls in that, the Malcolm Mitchell touchdown and then the fumble into the back of the end zone to kind of seal the game for Georgia. Like, he has so many iconic calls. I can't believe people don't like Scott. Like, if you don't like Scott Howard, comment why, because I genuinely can't. Other than the fact that he was not Larry Munson, who called the games for 40 years and is easily, by far, one of the greatest radio broadcast announcers of all time. Like, oh no, Scott Howard doesn't live up to the greatest of all time. It's very akin to the Oscar Delt Brock Bowers thing for me.
Auburn's going to win the football game.
I'm telling you, come on. It's great. I
So
love hearing
perfect.
the home radio calls after games.
Yeah, so gonna miss Scott Howard. If you want to hear him, you have to tune in the
It
basketball.
ought to
games.
feel like, it ought to sound like he saw the Messiah when you win. And it ought to sound like he just had his heart ripped out when you lose.
Yeah.
So,
That's what it ought to sound like.
someone brought up the Braves, and this ties back to something you said. You talked about like how many people are actually listening to the radio anymore, like how like the quantity or the quantity of people. And I saw someone talk about now Ben Ingram. He does the Atlanta Braves radio, and I saw someone give the perfect comparison for him because he does a great job too. Of Ben Ingram calls baseball games like nobody is listening to him. And the example of this recently is Michael Harris just recently had a baby, so now he is a dad. And so Ben Ingram's talking about it. He's like, Michael Harris, the new dad of the crew, and he's been daddy lately at the plate. It's like,
What?
Dude, I'm telling you, it was the best comparison. I thought it was great. Like, radio people, despite the fact, like radio hosts, despite the fact that maybe there aren't as many people listening to them anymore, they give it their all every single time. And it's still an art, in my opinion. There is a specific art to being able to be a radio guy
You
and
want to
be
hear Nas
entertaining.
Stackhouse's near pick six?
Ooh, yeah,
From
I haven't
Scott
heard that
Howard's
one.
perspective?
Please, yes,
Let's hear it.
please.
Midfield, play fake Cook, sets up deep in the pocket, dumps it over. We intercepted a big lineman. Stackhouse, go near sideline, 15, 10, 5. Oh, they trip him up at the 5. Stackhouse almost went to the house.
Dude, come
Hold
on.
flag
Dude.
down back at the Georgia 46-yard line. Look out.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, man.
This honestly,
Dude, I love how like halfway through the call, every time it sounds like he got a smoker's rumble going on because he's just giving it.
He turning
all
it on.
every time.
this makes me miss like being like in 5th to 6th grade when your youth league football team would play on Saturdays, and so sometimes it would overlap with Georgia football games, and you'd have to listen to them on the car ride back. That's what it makes you miss, and you hear the excitement of the crowd, but you can't see what's happening, dude. There is an art to just listening to the games. Well, obviously it's preferred to see it in person and to be there and to feel that excitement in the crowd. But when you hear that over the radio, there is something magical to that. So
I can't relate to that because I didn't play Pee Wee football or anything like that on Saturdays. The closest thing I have to that is when Georgia was playing Auburn in the 2017 SEC Championship game, we had a basketball game. This is in high school. We had a basketball game, and my head coach, who was not a Georgia fan, but very much knew that I was a massive Georgia fan. And so in the middle of timeouts, or like if I was coming onto the bench for a breather for a little bit or things like that, he'd be like, hey, Dogs are up 21-7. You're good right now. There's 8 minutes left. He'd give me game play-by-play updates. It was incredible. I thank you, Coach, for that.
I must have loved some call he had on a Kendall Milton touchdown. I'm looking at our DMs together. I DM'd him and said, I guess he said, get in there, touchdown on a Kendall Milton score. I don't know why, but I just DM'd him immediately. It was like, that is awesome. You're a legend, dude.
one that was pretty funny to me of going back and listening, I had never heard this before. He called the Gator Stomp. He was there in 2007 for that game. And very clearly did not understand what was going on at the time of the celebration because he's like freaking out. I'm like, what are we doing? They're throwing flag. Like the whole team's on the field, like just freaking out. And Eric Zier's like, yeah, the coaches are pointing at the crowd and cheering. Like this was on purpose. Like in real time, people had no idea what was going on. And props to Gary Danielson for recognizing that because he immediately sniffed that out of, oh, this is planned. They're doing this on purpose. Because at first it was like, what the hell is going on right now? So that's another great call by Sky. There's YouTube compilations you can watch of him calling games.
Somebody said there's a 9-hour cut up.
Ooh, I don't know if I got 9 hours.
Bro, he must have been liked a little bit more than we thought. You get 9-hour cut ups, you a G.
Yeah, and
I don't think anybody would ever make a 9-hour cut up of our show.
Probably not.
No.
Not today. Unless someone dares.
I also think there.
What a weird challenge. go lock yourself in a room. Cut up Phil Guy Networks for the next 24 hours. Give me 9 tight.
I also
No, it's an infinite money glitch. It's I feel this way about certain YouTube videos where they always pop up when you've fallen asleep and you're watching YouTube on your phone or your TV or something like that, and it's always a 4-hour-long video of something or a 9-hour-long video of something.
Oh, these fake burnt peanut accounts are getting buku bucks from me.
That's what I'm saying. So someone needs to make us our own infinite money glitch of just 9 hours of football talk about whatever.
But also,
there isn't 9 hours of anything I'm trying to watch. You haven't seen a good documentary.
There's 9-hour documentaries that
Oh,
exist?
dude, the
Like a
Michael Jordan,
docuseries
the Michael
or-
Jordan docs 9 hours.
Oh, well, that's a
every second.
docuseries.
that's a
though.
docuseries that you
Oh,
binge
okay.
watch, though.
I mean, I would watch 9 hours of a single documentary on Churchill.
I don't know if I could sit 9 hours through anything.
I mean, you wouldn't sit the whole 9.
I think,
break
but
it
that's
up.
well, that's what I think the reference
Is that a
was.
challenge?
But yeah,
I mean, Jonathan watched 12 hours of golf on Sunday when the Masters came
I
around.
sure did. I was
I-
locked in for the first group all the way until the last putt was put in.
I could not do that. But
I'd watch 9 hours of Kirby Smart in a coaching clinic.
I couldn't do that.
There's only one way to find out.
The last thing that I will say on the Scott Howard thing, and I feel like this is just kind of towards the entire Georgia fan base, I do not like how the people who have the most negative opinions in this fan base are the most vocal. Because I feel like Scott Howard had hate is because the people who did not like Scott Howard had to openly discuss that all the time. We see this all the time with Mike Bobo fans. We see this all the time with name a player, name a coach, name a season, name a team. Georgia fans who have negative feelings are the most vocal out of the fan base, which sucks because I feel like oftentimes they get lumped in as the majority. Like even to a degree, we do that to some degree because it's the most vocal. But I that is the one last thing I'll say about that.
The last thing I'm going to say for the next month while I'm on this show, the last 60 seconds-ish, is going to be this right here. Just for the sake and pure advantage of listening to this network for the thousands that do. If you have a son, if you are a coach at a high school football program, if you are a player that is at a high school football program that is listening to the sound of my voice right now, if I show up to your high school football practice, just know that video footage is going everywhere. Just know that every football coach that you want to play for is going to have their eyes on that. And you should know that. You should know that. Okay, so don't have bad body language. Don't be a bum. Don't be talking back to your coaches. Don't be doing none of that. All right? Put on your best performance because somebody's watching that. Somebody very, very important. All right? So I'll give you that little tip and that little advantage. Yes, I am just some YouTube schmuck showing up to your football practice, but that stuff is going very, very important places. So put on your best behavior. I'll also say this. Bad body language does us no good as a football player. It doesn't allow us to recoup energy any faster. It doesn't allow us to take harsh coaching any better. Having shitty body language is just that. It's just bad body language. So don't have it. God, it frustrates coaches more than you know. Frustrates coaches to wit's end watching you at a high school practice loaf around with your head down on the ground. Cut the shit. Sorry. Love you. See you tomorrow. Maybe.